If you've ever eaten a protein bar that tastes actually like a candy bar, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. And indeed, it is Friday. Thank God it's Friday, TGIF. Today is going to be the January 16th edition for Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Friday edition. We're going to close another wild week out strong here today. Of course, we've got Mark Putrino and Anne-Marie Baiynd here for you today. We're going to go over the news. I'm going to show you some cool tweets, and we're going to get prepared for another great market day and close the shop down here ahead of a three-day weekend. As a reminder, we will not be here on Monday. The market is closed in observance of Martin Luther King Day, so there will not be any trading, nor will there be a show. However, there's a show today. Let's get it cracking right now. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Friday edition for January 16th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. I hope the rest of your Thursday was excellent, because we are here for a Friday, and thank gosh we are. It's gonna be a fun day. I got a really good feeling. I woke up on the correct side of the bed. Shortly after I woke up, another blizzard started here in Chicago, and I am here for it. So we're gonna have a really good day, I promise. Billy is first here today. Let's go, Billy. Really awesome stuff on a lot of this, pretty much chat scanning for us on a lot of the movers there. We appreciate it. Early bird gets the worm, and Billy is locked in today. Big Dave, good morning. Big Dave, you normally finish your day before the market even opens, so hopefully you have a great day. Good to see you here again this morning. Astro K, good morning. With metals, gas, what will metals, gas, and oil do today? Navy's on the way to the Middle East? Question mark. Yeah, we'll see how that situation shakes out. I think that's one of the things that kind of has us on a little bit of trepidation going into a three-day weekend. We're anticipating macro events. There's the whole Supreme Court decision thing that's kind of overhanging. So I understand that trepidation. I think that would be one of the reasons why the market's really kind of been range bound and doesn't really want to make that move to 700. Although we'll see if we get that move here today. As far as what is the actual market going to do here today, I can ask the 8-ball if you want, but I'm not entirely sure. I am still long the oil play. I still think some of those plays go higher. Peter Smith, good morning. Happy Friday indeed. Producer's locked in. We couldn't do it without the producer. Thank you. Carlos, good morning. TGIF indeed. Jim, good morning. AC, good morning. Dirkus, good morning. Yes, that girl, good morning. First renovation. I don't know what your thing is. First top renovations. One's top renovations. I'm going to call you renovations. Good morning. One stop renovations is probably what it is. Oh, heavens to Betsy. Okay, good morning. Welcome. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. Big Bees, let's go. Welcome. Bernhard, welcome back. Cam, welcome back. Day Trader, welcome back. Marty, welcome back. Just passing through. Good to see you as always. Wiss, likewise. Wiss, I'll tell you what, right now, I'm like looking through stuff for like a golf trip at Hilton Head, and oh my God. It looks awesome. I'll let you know what we end up deciding on. Cam says, I love Mark. Man, I love Mark. We all do. And he's going to be back here today. Marionetta, good morning. Juiced, good morning. 3D, buenos dias. Did you email? You were looking for something, 3D. I don't think I saw an email from you. Maybe my inbox filtered it. Let me know. Good morning, nonetheless. Oh, excuse me, buenos dias. Nonetheless, Austin, good morning. Jay Harris, good morning. Yes, Mid, good morning. Empyrean, good to see you as always, boss. Good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Captain Cloudy, good morning. HK Matt and Brandy, good morning. Robert, good morning. Suprick, good morning. Welcome back. Jay Harris, good morning. Fergus, good morning. Ryan Summerall, good morning. Ed, welcome back. Good morning. Richard Judge, good to see you as always, my man. Special K, good morning. I love golfing in Hilton. Had some great tracks there. Never been. Never been. Closest I've been to that is Myrtle Beach. I would be extremely excited to play some of those Hilton Head courses. So it's Friday, folks. Let's have a good one, and let's get started with our stock market today. All right, futures mostly indicating a higher open here today. S&P futures up 0.14%. The Dow futures actually near flat, down 0.05%. And the NASDAQ futures leading the way higher by 0.48%. Let's take a look at some cues from last session. Utilities, industrials, and real estate stocks recorded the biggest gains on Thursday, while energy and healthcare stocks bucked the trend to close lower. On Thursday, chip stocks were standout performers after Taiwan Semiconductor, ticker TSM, posted a record quarter. We all kind of expected that. It did trade pretty well, and it brought the semis with it. Financials also rallied as Goldman Sachs rose over 4% on strong fourth quarter profits, and Morgan Stanley jumped nearly 6%. Those charts looked identical most of the day. Big time shout out to Jay Rice, who had that pegged real early on that Goldman Sachs reversal. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.17%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.56%. The Fed Watch Tool is pricing in a 95% chance of no cut. So this is basically bouncing around anywhere between 95 and 98%. Pretty clear that the market thinks we're not getting a rate cut at the next meeting. Now, we do have several stocks in focus here for you today. The first one is going to be Chevron, ticker CVX. That was 0.51% higher in the pre-market on Friday as the company, along with its partners, have reached a final investment decision to expand the Leviathan Reservoir's production capacity, aiming to deliver approximately 21 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually to Israel, Egypt, and Jordan by the end of the decade. Paysafe is the next stock on our list here today that gained 2.2% after it announced a strategic partnership with payments orchestration platform Pay.com to serve as a recommended card acquirer and integrate its Skrill, Nettler, and Paysafe card solutions, aiming to optimize transaction approval rates and checkout flexibility for global merchants. We're going to have more on this story here in the news block coming up next. Paysafe gaining here. Doesn't look like it's good news for PayPal, to be quite honest with you. The next stock on our list is going to be JB Hunt. The ticker is JBHT. That dropped 4.19% after reporting mixed financial results for the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter revenue of $3.097 billion was slightly below estimates of $3.099 billion. The next stock on our list here is going to be QXO, and the ticker is QXO. It declined 4.08% after it announced a $750 million common stock offering and reported preliminary fourth quarter net sales of $2.19 billion. The last stock on our list is Immunity Bio, and this is a stock that we've taken a look at quite a bit. The ticker is IBRX, and shares surged 21.01% after jumping 30% on Thursday. It announced preliminary net product revenue for Anktiva reached approximately $113 million for fiscal 2025, reflecting a remarkable 700% increase year over year. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart here and get set for the day. We're basically still over my trend line. I know there's a little bit of back and forth with this, depending on how you drew your line. But the overall conclusion here is that we continue to compress right beneath these recent little new all-time highs. And really the question here is, the more we compress, the higher the likelihood that we pop or drop out of this range. And we have lines to help us figure out which one that's going to be. I've got the downtrend line here. Let's actually look at an inside chart here. Okay, so the downtrend line that we've been looking at for support, basically 692. It's 691 and change here. So we'll see if 692 can hold here today. As mentioned, the SPY is a little bit higher, but as you can see, it's down from its highs. That was about 694 and a half. So I'd be looking at this trend line here. And again, that's right around 692. We'll see if that supports us. But furthermore, 688.25 is the 20-day moving average that we have. That would be the next line of support, followed by 681, which is where your 50-day moving average is at. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. Jennifer Timmerman, investment strategy analyst at Wells Fargo Investment Institute, maintains a bullish outlook for 2026. How many times have you heard that before, folks? asserting that the U.S. economy has entered a new year on firm footing. She highlights that despite persistent global headlines, the U.S. economy's resilience appears undeniable, supported by a robust 4.3% GDP growth rate in late 2025. Timmerman notes that while manufacturing remains weak, strength in services and consumer spending suggest more economic indicators are flashing green for broadening growth. She anticipates that positive forces, including the Federal Reserve rate cuts, tax cuts, and AI-driven productivity, will drive broader equity market sector participation. That would be great. We've talked a lot about the trade really kind of diversifying into other stocks and other assets. That would be phenomenal. Although she's cautious that it's unlikely the market will enjoy smooth sailing throughout 2026, she advises investors to focus on long-term themes rather than daily noise. Ultimately, Timmerman concludes that the current environment represents an all-systems-go signal for investors. And I think she's making a really good point here. We've talked to a couple of the T3 traders. We've had this discussion on Happy Hour that has a wide range of traders from different professional backgrounds and experience and locales. And everyone kind of thinks the same thing. We are not likely to just see a smooth move up here. There's definitely going to be volatility, but the backdrop here is not the end of the world by any means at all. And in fact, there's a lot of positives coming, particularly in the back half of the year. And I think the big takeaway from here is that if we do see a sell-off, we should welcome it. It should probably or hopefully reset some of the valuations for some of these stocks that might be a little bit overcooked. Looking at you, AI names and memory names, and maybe give us an opportunity to add these at better levels. I think this is still going to be a buy the dip. I'm not buying any of the gloom and doom scenarios that we have. So it's great to hear Jennifer really kind of give an outlook just like that. I think that aligns quite well with what we should expect in 2026. It should actually be a stock picker's market. The more active we are, if we can hit good entries, we should be able to make a good amount of money in that volatility. December's initial production and capacity utilization data will be released today at 9:15 a.m., and Richmond Fed President Tom Barkin will speak at 11. The Fed Reserve Vice Chair Philip Jefferson will speak at 3:30. All right, next piece of news here is on Taiwan. Of course, we got Taiwan Semiconductor earnings yesterday, but the Trump administration is offering tariff relief in exchange for $250 billion Taiwan chip investment. And Taiwan Semiconductor is weighing Arizona expansion. That's all per Howard Lutnick. On Thursday, the Trump administration struck a trade agreement with Taiwan aimed at pulling hundreds of billions of dollars in semiconductor investment into onto U.S. soil, while easing tariff pressure on key Taiwanese exports. The Department of Commerce said Taiwanese chip and technology companies will invest at least $250 billion to expand semiconductor production capacity in the U.S. The Taiwanese government will provide $250 billion in credit guarantees to support those projects. In return, the U.S. will cap reciprocal tariffs on Taiwan at 15%, which is down from 20%, and eliminate tariffs on select categories, including generic pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical ingredients, aircraft components, and certain natural resources. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told CNBC that Taiwan Semiconductor has already purchased hundreds of acres near its existing Arizona facilities, opening the door to further expansion. Lutnick also said Taiwanese chip companies that do not build in the U.S. could face tariffs as high as 100%. And in fact, this headline came out in the afternoon yesterday. There was some anticipation of that maybe because the market kind of rolled over a little bit, but it accelerated when we got that headline there. And then bounced to where we are today. A TSMC spokesperson told the publication that the demand for its advanced chips remains strong and that the company continues to invest in both Taiwan and overseas. The deal builds on TSMC's existing $40 billion Arizona investment, which supplies chips to major U.S. firms such as Apple and NVIDIA. Under the agreement, Taiwanese chip makers building new U.S. factories will receive significant tariff flexibility under Section 232 of the National Security Framework. While construction is underway, companies will be allowed to import up to 2.5 times the production capacity that they are building without facing tariffs. Once factories are completed, imports of up to 1.5 times U.S. output will remain tariff-free. Taiwanese auto parts, lumber, and related products will also be shielded from tariffs exceeding 15%. Here's a look at Taiwan Semiconductor with the Benzinga Edge rankings. And as you can see, this thing scores almost near the top, 98th percentile on quality, something else, and still in the 88th percentile for momentum. Doesn't have a growth score because it doesn't meet one of those metrics, and its value score, although it's a little bit lower, not horrific. And given the theme here, probably not as important as two of the other scores here. All right. Next piece of news here. Top analyst says AI is a $20 trillion opportunity, not a zero-sum game, as the Google versus OpenAI debate heats up. Despite contrasting market narratives declaring one AI giant the victor over the other, IO Fund lead tech analyst Beth Kinding argues that the sheer scale of artificial intelligence economy ensures that there is ample room for both Alphabet's Google, and OpenAI to thrive. Speaking in a recent interview, Kindig pushed back against the winner-take-all mentality that has plagued tech investment sentiment. While Google was initially written off before soaring, the OpenAI has faced its own scrutiny. Kindig asserts that viewing these companies as direct zero-sum competitors misses the larger economic picture. Tom Lee has also kind of made this point, to be quite honest. According to Kindig, AI is projected to impact global GDP by approximately $15 to $20 trillion. With a total addressable market of that magnitude, the industry can support multiple winners simultaneously. The battleground, she notes, is moving beyond simple consumer search. The real value lies in embedding the large language models into as many applications and enterprise workloads as possible, a race in which both tech giants are currently securing major partnerships. Beyond the Google OpenAI rivalry, Kindig highlighted Meta Platforms as an overlooked powerhouse in the sector. Despite previous skepticism regarding CEO Mark Zuckerberg's focus on the metaverse, lol, Meta has quietly become the second largest generator of AI revenue, trailing only NVIDIA. Kindig revealed that Meta currently boasts a $60 billion run rate on its AI revenue. She suggests that if the company continues to pivot resources away from Reality Labs and doubles down on AI, the stock remains a buy soon, having matured significantly since its previous market crashes. The interview also touched the physical constraints facing these software giants. Energy within the electrical grid stretched thin, big tech is increasingly tasked with building its own power infrastructure. Kindig pointed to Bloom Energy, show favorite here, ticker BE, as a critical beneficiary of this trend. Their solid oxide fuel cells offer on-site, off-grid power generation that can be deployed within months, solving the immediate energy needs for the rapid AI expansion. And for anyone that wants to check out that interview, it's linked in the article that I just gave you there. All right. Next year, we talked a little bit about PaySafe. Let's dive into that a little bit more. PaySafe Limited, which is ticker PSFE on the NICE, on Friday disclosed a strategic partnership with Pay.com, a payments orchestration platform. Through the deal, PaySafe will be a recommended acquirer for card payments for merchants on Pay.com, which has also integrated Skrill, Neteller, I'm not sure, PaySafe Card, and other alternative payment methods. Pay.com, a leader in intelligent payment orchestration, enhances checkout experiences using advanced orchestration and a centralized risk engine to boost acceptance and authorization rates. The platform now integrates PaySafe's card processing for credit and debit transactions, offering merchants in e-commerce, travel, regulated iGaming, and financial services the benefits of PaySafe's 30 years of processing experience across multiple industries. In line with Pay.com's goal of providing a full range of payment options, the platform also supports PaySafe's digital wallets. Skrill and Neteller, which are live in over 130 countries, are widely recognized in e-commerce and iGaming. Additionally, PaySafe Card, a voucher-based solution for cash-focused consumers, is integrated to further expand Pay.com's offerings. PaySafe is already processing payments for multiple Pay.com merchants, with 20-plus additional merchants expected to join by the end of 2026. Rob Gatto, Chief Revenue Officer at PaySafe, stated, quote, "Our collaboration will likely be a game changer for online merchants. optimizing payment routing, enhancing approval rates, and above all, strengthening their checkout and ultimately customer relationships. He goes on to say, more broadly, with PaySafe's heritage and with our payment solutions serving as trust marks for merchants worldwide, we expect to support Pay.com's business growth and global expansion. Nicholas Banerjee, that is an awesome and fun name to say, by the way, Chief Revenue Officer at Pay.com, added, quote, integrating PaySafe into our platform enhances the advanced orchestration capabilities we provide to merchants, helping them maximize authorization rates and optimize every transaction. The partnership ensures our customers benefit from greater flexibility across card payments and a wide range of alternative payment methods. In November, PaySafe reported third quarter adjusted earnings per share of 70 cents, which missed the consensus of 73 cents. Quarterly sales were $433.815 million. That was plus 2% year over year, and missed the street view of 439.514. Ari Stock Market saying thanks to 13, who mentioned this a year ago. Now, I don't know if he ended up taking this one, but we, as I've told you before, we have talked a lot about some of these companies, this one, PayPal, and others. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that we were a little bit early on something like that. So sounds awesome. Day Trader says, new thing I saw yesterday is where men pay a, quote, date deposit that a woman has to accept before they date. This helps her prep for the date, ensuring she's not wasting time. How about that? LOL. The only reason I'm commenting on this, Day Trader, is because I saw this yesterday and I actually laughed so hard that my stomach hurt a little bit, and I actually did have a tear or two come from my right eye. This is one of the most ridiculous things I have ever seen in my life. And I would just say if you're going to do something like this, you must not have a use for money. That's, I guess, my final takeaway on that. That is the silliest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Okay. I'm glad that you brought that up, though, Day Trader. That's awesome. All right. Let's talk about Tesla here. Gary Black likes Elon Musk's Tesla, but not Tesla. Draws comparison with Amazon, says that NVIDIA democratizes autonomy. Investor Gary Black, managing director of the Future Fund LLC, has shared that Tesla's stock valuation has caused him to exit his position in the automaker. Uh-oh. The investor, in a post on social media platform X, offered an insight into his outlook on Tesla, drawing comparisons with Amazon's stock during the e-commerce giant's early days. Black shared that he held Amazon stock before it was profitable and trading at an infinite PE because the investor could see its retail future. Quote, Amazon built a fulfillment and distribution infrastructure that allowed it to deliver products next day, which set it apart from other retailers. Excuse me. The investor shared that it was the same reason why he invested in Tesla back in 2019. No other automaker could build high-quality EVs at a huge cost advantage, he said, sharing that Tesla was his fund's largest position for years. However, the fund ultimately exited its Tesla position because competition penetrated the EV market and the company's stock price ran far ahead of the investor estimates, something which he has questioned on multiple occasions. He also shared that he sees a similar trend now with autonomous driving, as many competitors are offering unsupervised autonomous ride-hailing, with many more to come as NVIDIA democratizes autonomy with Alpha Mayo's new technology. We still see Tesla. We still like Tesla, the company, but we don't like Tesla, the stock. How about that? The comments, come as Tesla's Model Y emerged as the best-selling EV in the U.S. last year, with the company selling over 357,528 units of the crossover. The company also revealed a 7-seater layout version of the Model Y, which could help boost its sales. Meanwhile, CEO Elon Musk also announced that the company is ending the full self-driving's $8,000 one-time payment option, with the company now offering the service as a $99 monthly subscription instead. All right. I think, let me see. What did I miss here real quick? Did I miss anything here? Yeah, okay. 3D says maybe, unless if you really like the woman and want to marry her. How do you know that without meeting them? How do you know that without going out on a date? Just saying. Should meet people first. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to have Mark Putrino on in a couple of minutes. I actually am way too jacked up on coffee here, and I think I ran through that a tad too fast. So if we've got to fill some time, we're going to take a look at some charts here. But before we do that, I do have a couple of street tweets. Let's go ahead and get that done. All right. I don't know how I feel about this one, and I would love to get the chat's reaction to this. Jim Cramer says that this Musk suit against OpenAI is the real deal and not a good one for OpenAI if and when it wants to go public. It needs to do a private round at a big valuation ahead of the trial. Musk has unlimited firepower. So I suppose it depends which seat you sit on. If you're an inverse Cramer person, rip Elon Musk. And if you think Cramer's onto something here, well, maybe that's going to spell trouble for OpenAI in 2026. Remember, they said that they wanted to IPO in 2026. We're expecting that in the back half of the year. We got another headline here that OpenAI said that they're expecting Elon Musk to make outlandish comments leading up to the trial. We'll see how this all shakes out. I'm sorry for laughing, but when billionaires fight, it amuses me. We'll see if Cramer put the hex on Elon Musk. Next tweet. All right, this is from Kathy Wood. The next 3 years could be Reaganomics on steroids, another golden age for the U.S. equity market. Back then, early in my career, I remember how deregulation, tax cuts, and sound monetary policy and peace through strength sent the dollar soaring, which put a lid on the gold price. Now, I definitely wanted to get this story out here before Lion shows up, because if I do any story in which we talk about the gold price being capped, Lion is going to absolutely lose his mind, and we don't want that to happen, especially on a Friday. This is something that folks have been hinting at for a while, and we are expecting some of these Reaganomics on steroids to start even as early as the second half of 2026. In fact, there was another guest on CNBC making a very similar case here this morning. So we'll see if Kathy's right here. I am still optimistic that 2026 is going to end up being a good year despite intra-year volatility. Again, we'll see if Kathy ended up getting that right. Next tweet, producer. Next one here is from Gene Munster, whom we quote him all of the time. I think Gene does excellent work. Here he says, key indicators of the AI fundamental health in 2026 are now 2 for 2. That's good, because we have been saying that, hey, AI is a theme that definitely is not going away. It's not some fad. Gene here is telling you that the 2 mile markers, if you will, so far in 2026, both have hit. Bottom line, AI infrastructure growth in 2026 is likely to exceed expectations. I believe NVIDIA will grow greater than 65% year over year versus the street at 50%. The first pillar here, management commentary from NVIDIA at CES, suggested upside to the street's 50% CY26 growth expectations. SMC reported last night, shares are up 7% versus the NASDAQ up 0.8 after the company guided March quarter revenue 7% above street estimates. NVIDIA is up 3% on that read-through. He finishes by saying here that this implies that for March 26 quarter, TSMC revenue is likely to grow 40% year over year compared to 25% in December 25 and 41% in September 26. So again, we talk a lot about, diversification out of some of the mega cap tech names, all of which are tied to AI in some way or another. That's still a good thing, but let's not lose sight of AI here. We actually had another discussion on Happy Hour last night about how really what this is going to come down to is what can AI actually do for you? I know that there's a little bit of fatigue with some of the chat bots and all of that, but there are going to be other productivity gains and other breakthroughs that AI is going to deliver that's going to be great for everybody. It looks like companies are still planning for that. Gene Munster here is telling you that, yeah, this is definitely going to continue into 2026. Some of the predictions that we've made, or some of the timelines that we've made, is well into the 2030s. I think you can expect this. This is not going away. at all. Okay, I did it. Really good timing here. Thank you, producer. Let's go ahead and bring on our special guest. It is Friday. Y'all love him, and you love the insight that he brings. So it is time. Let's go ahead and bring on Mark Putrino. Mark, good morning. Happy Friday. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Look, I got to ask you, you got your dead hat on. How did you take the news?
Oh, man. Well, it was a little surprising, to be honest. Because I didn't know that he was sick. Like when Phil
Neither did
Lesh
I.
died,
Yeah.
whenever that was, a year ago or whatever it was, it wasn't very surprising because he had health issues. Um, as a matter of fact, at his concerts, not after the Grateful Dead, but when he was touring on his own, he would always talk about uh, donating because he had a liver transplant, so he would always do what they call the donor rap, where he would encourage people to donate organs and so forth. But yeah, man, it's kind of weird, dude. It really is. It's like, I mean, I can't even explain it. Following the Grateful Dead around the country, how awesome it was, and so much fun and everything.
Yeah,
And
so I actually saw something after this news that made me chuckle. Someone had made a tweet that said, without saying you're a Grateful Dead fan, tell us that you're a Grateful Dead fan. And Bob had responded to the tweet and said, I've been to every show. And I think that's just a perfect, little, very quick summary of the kind of person he was, and just awesome stuff. So, okay, I knew you were a huge fan and wanted to get your thoughts, but let's get down to some money-making opportunities here. Do you want to share your screen? You might already have it. Nope, that's the producer. Let's share your screen here, and then let's take a look at, okay.
Oh, there I am, sorry.
Keeping me on my toes here this morning.
I'm less accurate than Brandon McManus. How about that?
Oh, take that. Oh, that is so good, Mark. That's awesome. That's awesome.
My sharing, okay. Yeah, that was something, man. It was, the Wall Street Journal said that that last weekend of football, it was the closest games, and there were more possession shifts in the fourth quarter than in any other wild card weekend before. So I believe it. I mean, it was pretty exciting.
I mean, I didn't sit down for the last hour and a half of that damn game, Mark. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I was thinking about you. All right. Anyway, let's take a look at the market here, right? And this is one of those times where there's really not too many things to focus on if we want to get an idea of which way the broader market's going to go. And I'll explain that a little bit more here as we just kind of take a look at these sectors. All right, so here's the S&P 500, and as you can see, really has done pretty much nothing over the last, I guess, 2 weeks or so. But short term, you want to watch this level around here. This is actually the SPY, the SPY, around 688 or so. There was resistance, and you see how it's become support. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing here, right? So if we look at the bigger sectors, here we have technology, just kind of going sideways, not doing much. Here we have healthcare, just kind of going sideways, really not doing much. Communication services, trending a little bit lower here. Consumer discretionary, right? Kind of going sideways. So that brings us to the financial sector, which is at a pretty critical juncture here. So notice how we got to this level, right? And this is a classic example of what was a resistance level turning into a support level. People who sell here regret doing so when the price goes higher, and they say, I want to buy my shares back if I can get them at the same price I sold them at. So remorseful sellers placing buy orders can make resistance turn into support. So this is probably a critical thing to watch here, because this is at an important juncture or inflection point, whereas all those other sectors are just kind of going sideways. And then there's the industrial sector, which has been skyrocketing because this is where all the defense stocks are. But this sector isn't as big. But anyway, it's overstretched. So two things to watch. If industrials start to turn, and if that support in the financial sector breaks, then but then I think we're going to start going into a little bit of a correction. Now, basic materials sector has done really well because this is where the gold and the silver stocks are. But this is a very small sector. This is only 2% of the broad market. So this isn't really going to influence what's going on in the broader market. Kind of the same thing with the energy sector. It's so small that it's really not going to affect the broader market. And if money does start coming out of tech and those sectors start to go down, it might come here into energy. So you see how energy looks like it's breaking out. This is the energy sector. Now, a lot of times in a market, when you get to a price that had been resistance before, you can get resistance again. And the reason why that happens, you can actually see it here pretty well, is because we have remorseful buyers, people that buy at the peak who hold their losing positions. And when they finally can get out at break even, the shares get back to their buy price, they place sell orders, and that could create resistance. Now, as you can see, after backing off, we cleared that resistance. So this is what a trader would call a breakout. When you get above a price level that has been resistance and you can hold up there, you can infer that the people who created the resistance are gone, the sellers. They've either finished or canceled their orders. Remember, markets are supply and demand, and a lot of times people forget about that. Now, if you have a lot of supply taken out of the market, meaning a lot of sellers, the demand, meaning the buyers, when they come in, they're going to have to be really aggressive and be willing to outbid each other to draw the sellers back in, and that could push the price up there. So pretty interesting action over here in energy. And I guess it's kind of a delayed reaction. This was the initial head fake after Venezuela there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That head fake actually allowed for some opportunity to add to that position. I guess I don't want to say that I'm lucky here. Energy was a theme for me for 2026. So everything that you just said right there is literally music to my ears. It was, I think that there's going to be multiple opportunities this year. I'm currently long ConocoPhillips in this, and I'm going to be looking for more. So there's a really good breakdown here of a breakout, if you will.
Yeah. So we'll see. Okay, here's Conoco. Yeah. I mean, this looks like it's getting to breakout territory. So this will probably follow along if XLE keeps going higher.
That's what I'm hoping for. 105 is the target. Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to go over in particular? Can I start asking you about? Yeah, go ahead. I'll give you as much time as you need.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the silver ETF here, SLV. And you can see that this thing has just gone parabolic.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of talk going around about how the world is basically running out of silver. Elon Musk did a talk a couple weeks ago where he was saying how all these new EV batteries need silver, and some of the big mines are coming to the end of their lives. China just put restrictions on exports. The Mexican central bank is trying to put a 20% export tariff or whatever to keep the silver in there. So between China and Mexico, that's 35% of the silver market or the world silver supply. So that's why we're seeing moves like this. It's pretty amazing stuff going on here.
What do you, when you see a move like this, how do you think about trading it, or is it more hands off for you?
No, because regardless of what the future is, right? I mean, maybe in 2 years silver will be at $1,000. I mean, who the hell knows? But there's always going to be profit taking when things move. So nothing goes in a straight line. It's going to go in like a staircase. So I would be watching this for some type of a reversal, even though personally, long term, I'm pretty bullish on silver. But when things get overextended like this, there's always that reversion to the mean. Oh, actually, look at it this morning. It's actually trading down this morning about 4%, 4.3%. Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty interesting. So just for some of the stocks that we were talking about, this was actually today's stock of the day, Lockheed Martin. And I just wanted to point out, when I do my stock of the day, I try to do it as like a lesson as well as kind of I try to do it as like a technical analysis lesson. Now, what I was saying here about Lockheed Martin is that if we get up to around 595, there's a good chance that it runs into resistance because one, it's really overbought. So this indicator down here is called the RSI indicator. The way this is interpreted is that if this blue line is above this horizontal red line, it's considered overbought. Now, the reason why that's important is because a lot of trading strategies are built on the concept of reversion to the mean. So if something is overbought, that's going to draw on sellers who are going to be anticipating a reversion or a move lower. The other thing here is we're getting close to this 595 level, which was resistance before. So like we talked about, there are people who bought back here who've been watching this thing ever since. And if they can finally get out at break even, if we get back up to 595, they're going to be placing sell orders. And if there's enough, that'll create resistance at the level. So just kind of a principle of markets, overbought stocks that get to resistance tend to sell off. Not always, but they tend to sell off or reverse a little bit.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Lockheed Martin. I do that chart looks awesome. And I also want to just take one sec here, Mark, and commend you. This seems to be an unpopular opinion. I talk to a lot of traders. I do a lot of screen shares with people, and I end up seeing what they're working with in pro and otherwise, depending on what it is that they share. And I've noticed that there's two camps. There's folks that love having the grid on the chart, and there's folks that, like you and me, that love to have clean charts like this without those grid lines on there. And it is apparently a very contentious thing. Those that love the grid lines can't think we're dumb, and at least in my opinion, I think the charts look a lot more readable when they're nice and clean like yours. So shout out to you. I don't know if you've ever had that argument with other people, but I get into it more often than I care to admit.
Well, one thing I will say, I guess pertaining to those, something along those lines is I see a lot of newer traders that just have way too many things on their screen. Like, for example, they might have the RSI, the MACD, and the stochastics. And that's, whatever. That's great. But these are three different ways of measuring the same thing. So my thought is you just pick one or two and get really comfortable with them. I think a lot of people think if they have 7 or 8 or 9 indicators on their screen, one day they're just going to have this revelation and they're going to be able to figure out how everything works. But no, simple is better, because remember, this is not chess. Chess is logical. Pieces always move the same way. This is poker, because what works today may not work tomorrow. Every trade you make, there's someone on the other side of that trade that has the exact opposite opinion of you.
That's right.
People say to me, well, looking at charts is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you see a level like this, it looks so clear. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been doing this for 30 years, and you can show 10 people the same chart, and they would put their levels in at different places.
That's right.
And everyone who looks at this chart could have exact opposite opinions, because for every buyer, there's a seller, and for every seller, there's a buyer. So people are looking at this thing and seeing the exact opposite things. It's pretty profound if you actually think about it.
And those differences in opinion are, in fact, what makes our market.
So I did the math, and if we paid everyone who lives in Greenland $1 million, that would be $57 billion. It's kind of a drop in the bucket these days. What do you think of that for a country that has trillions of dollars in minerals?
Yeah, I think there's a deal to be made there. I think there's a lot of saber rattling right now, but I think this ends up in a deal. I think that you're right.
Hey, man, I got 4 people in my family. If someone was going to say, "Hey, here's $4 million,"
yep, we'll take that.
Yeah,
we'll take that.
Yeah. All right, so you want to get some questions in here?
Yeah, I do. And I want to get some questions here. I want to start with a stock that the entire chat is talking about and has been trading and talking about for a while. And I want to get your opinion here, but I want to ask you a direct question, and it comes from my chart first. So let me go ahead and do that real quick here. I'll just take care of it for you. All right. The stock in question is Micron. So I'd like you to break this down for us. But I want to start with this. We know that a lot of these memory names have gone just absolutely parabolic recently. They've been absolute monsters. SanDisk, STX, Western Digital, Micron. We have a trend line here on Micron that is just too juicy to not talk about. This basically going back to 1995. We're just connecting peaks here, and that gives us a target for the current run. And here it is. And it tops out, if I actually look at the chart itself, it tops out right around like 360, almost like a round number there. So I look at this chart, Mark, and I think to myself, God, given everything that's going on, the monthly RSI of 86 plus, this potential trend line spot here, maybe, just maybe, This stock is due for a pullback here. And the way that I would handle that, instead of outright shorting a rocket ship that's going parabolic, is I would actually add MUD, which is one of the new direction bear levered ETFs. This is a 1X, and that's not levered, excuse me. So this is the vehicle that I would trade Micron short. But the question that I'm asking you, what do you see about this Micron chart that looks like it's just absolutely parabolic?
Well, I would agree that it's, longer term overbought. But if you look at the recent action, it's basically gone sideways for the last, let's see. Well, it's trading up this morning, but until yesterday, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it basically traded around the same price for 8 days. So I think there's a good chance this thing might be, after some consolidation, that could be almost like your classic flag pattern here. Let me just see what the volume looks like here. Like many things in technical analysis, people misunderstand things, but I will explain the flag pattern. And a flag pattern is what we call a continuation pattern, which means it's just taking a break. The trend is resting before it gets back in gear, as opposed to a reversal pattern, like a head and shoulders, which shows you that the trend is reversing. So what happens with the flag pattern, the reason why a flag pattern forms, and I would argue that this is one here, the trend kind of gets ahead of itself, right? And the people that are buying might say, maybe it's me who's pushing this thing up. Let me take a couple days off here and back away, and maybe the stock will go lower and I could finish buying it at a better price. So as these buyers step out of the market, the volume really drops off. Now, after this little consolidation phase where we see we really haven't come in that much, the buyers jump back in, and then we start to move ahead. So it looks like it's breaking out of this little consolidation phase here this morning because it's trading right around here. So I think longer term, you're absolutely right. It is due for a serious pullback, but I don't think it's happening as of yet.
Okay, and I got something else for you here. Robot to Trade had this in the chat. Several of you also mentioned this. We got this yesterday. Board director Mark Liu bought $8 million worth of stock on the open market yesterday. $8 million in Benzinga Pro. According to Benzinga Pro, I guess his American name is Mark. It's listed here as Tayin. Tayin Liu purchased 23,200 shares of Micron, worth a total of $7.82 million in the open market yesterday.
Well, they say there's a lot of reasons for insiders to sell.
But there's only one for them to buy.
Maybe they need money to pay kids' tuition or whatever, but there's only one reason why they buy, and that's because they think the stock is going higher.
So there you go. When I look at charts that go parabolic like this, the first thing I think about is maybe there's a regression back to the mean, but hard to make that case if the CEO's putting $8 million of his own money on the line, or a director there. So
right.
Okay. What else you got, or what else do you folks want to take a look at here? I got a request here for D-Pro, which might not be one that you've ever looked at here. That's a drone stock. And don't worry, folks. I'll cover on this here in a sec. Don't you worry about that. D-Pro, D-P-R-O.
All right. I was reading about you probably read about the thing down there in Venezuela where they were actually hit these guys with some kind of sonic pulse weapon.
Oh, I sure did.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
The craziest part about that was just the comments from the people that got hit. They were like, yeah, my recommendation, don't F with America. You gonna lose. You gonna lose. It's actually funny, not to disparage anybody, but last year, we had someone in our chat saying that the cartels are so violent that they would absolutely wreck our Delta Force operators. And I did the best job that I absolutely could to not laugh hysterically and then say rude comments to this person, because it was one of the most off base, silly, uneducated things I have ever heard in the history of this show. And
Yeah.
the first thing that I thought of when I was reading about that, I've actually read about rumored sonic weapons and things of that nature. I've read about that. When I read that it actually happened, I was like, it's on. There's other stuff that we don't know about, like the ability to have technology see through walls so that you know where threats are if you're trying to breach a compound. There's all types of things that just give us an advantage. And to quote Palantir, an unfair advantage.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
it sure is.
it's unfortunate that we've had so much technology into weapons, but I guess it's kind of unavoidable, you
Yeah,
know.
indeed.
Anyway, this D Pro, volatile stock here, but I don't really see much from a trading point of view. It's just again, it's kind of been going sideways. I think there's some resistance around 10, not surprisingly. Nice round level. See right up here at the top, $10.
Mhm.
People, that's just the way people think. No one says, "Hey, I'll sell it if it gets to 997, or I'll sell it if it gets to 1006, or buy." People say, "I'll buy it or sell it if it gets to 10." So psychological levels like 10, 100, they tend to be important. So I don't know. So that's my situation here. As a trader, I just don't really see much right here, right now.
Okay, some resistance right there. Okay, one of the other stocks here, and this is one that we've never looked at. In fact, I'm not even sure what it is. Ticker TGB, Tango Golf Bravo. Looks like this is a Canadian miner here. Canadian mining company principally engaged in production and sale of metals, as well as related activities, including exploration and mine development within the province of British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah. Now, when we look at these commodities based stocks, it's always important to see what the commodity is doing. So, because for the most part, they're going to follow the commodity. And a lot of people that trade these kind of smaller cap or micro cap miners, or gold companies or miners or what have you, they tend to get stopped out because these stocks can be really volatile. So one thing to do, as opposed to watching the stock, is watching the whatever it is that it follows. So now here's silver, right? So if this thing is a silver miner, I would imagine it may roll over a little bit and follow this. And then over here we have gold, which I didn't even look at today yet. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so looks like it's in a little bit of a consolidation phase here. So now we see this thing made this big jump up here. Let me put the RSI on here because this might be an interesting thing to think about. So this relative strength index, it's a very common, popular way to measure momentum. Now, sometimes it gives false signals. Now, not false because it's like trying to trick us or anything. It's just the way it's constructed. This measures where it is now versus where it was 14 time periods ago. So it shows here that we're really overbought. Now, let's just say we go sideways looks like we're going sideways this morning. We didn't really do much yesterday. And maybe we go sideways for another day or two. Well, the RSI will tell you that it's overbought because in the mind of the RSI, this thing went like this. It wouldn't factor in the fact that it spent 4 or 5 days going sideways. So sometimes the RSI can indicate that something is overbought, but it's actually not. And it's just a function of the way the indicator is constructed. So it's important to understand that all of these indicators have little nuances and so forth. So yeah, so I would suspect if this thing goes sideways for a couple of days, then there's a good chance it gets back in gear and starts to head higher because
Okay,
it is
cool.
overstretched here, and now it's getting unoverstretched.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. So that actually gives us something to look for there. More sideways, maybe that'll lead to the next move higher here.
Yeah,
Okay,
we got to remember what goes up fast can come down fast.
that's right.
So we want nice, boring, slow, steady movements up.
All right. Next stock here. Let's do it. Let's take a look at Bloom Energy, ticker BE.
All right, what do we got here? Now this is at an interesting juncture. So where are we in the pre-market? Right around 143. Now, as you can see, this thing is testing resistance here. Now, this is probably a good kind of getting back to what we just talked about. So it shows it to be overbought on the RSI, but we've gone sideways here for 3 days. And this morning we're testing this resistance here. So sometimes when we get to resistance, what happens is some of the sellers who create the resistance get anxious and impatient. They start to worry that someone's going to be willing to sell at a lower price than them, and they know that's who the buyer is going to go to. So they start to reduce the prices they're willing to sell at, and it could turn into like a snowball effect that pushes the price lower. Now, if we break out, like we talked about before, it shows you that those sellers are out of the way, that they've left the market. So this, to me, right here, it's like we're at a crossroads, and I would suspect we're going to break over the next couple of days. We're either going to break out or we're going to reverse. I don't think it's going to go sideways for too much longer. So if you're an options trader, this is where you might want to think about a collar or a strangle, or wait to see if it starts to fade, and then you think about puts, or if it starts to break out, you think about calls. But it's primed to move one way or the other.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. Bloom Energy. Let's see. I have one more for you. Goldman Sachs, ticker GS.
Yeah, I mean, this is really not much to say here other than, this thing is just, it's strong, I mean, the trend is your friend. So
I'm so glad that you chose to say that. I was saying a little bit like this on Happy Hour yesterday. I've been doing this every day for like the past, 11 years now. Here are the two things that I've learned just unanimously. The trend is your friend. Don't fight it. And add Goldman Sachs on weakness. Those are the two things that I've learned. And this is never a stock that you really want to bet against. I'm just wondering if there's anything you see here in the chart, like levels to add at, anything like that. Seems pretty simple though. Up and to the right.
I used to trade a lot with Goldman Sachs when I was an institutional trader. I'll never forget this one time we had this traders dinner out in Greenwich at this like really nice restaurant. So we're all having this like great time. There's all these guys from all these different firms. Finally, like everyone's getting ready to leave, and it's like 11 o'clock, and a bunch of the Goldman Sachs guys showed up. And we're like, hey, where have you guys been? And they were like, well, when you're a Goldman, like no one wants to be the first person to leave. So they just hang around and pretend they're busy, and they stay there until like 11:30 at night, or well, in this case, like 9:30 at night or whatever. But
that sounds super fun.
Yeah, I mean, they make a lot of money, but you really trade your life for it. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty impressive looking chart. You got to
sure is. And I actually think investment banks are going to be good in 2026. We saw Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs both outperform yesterday.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk a couple of weeks back, or maybe even more than a couple of weeks back, about all these credit risks and everything in the banking industry. And it's really easy to get caught up in the noise when you start hearing things like this. Like a month or two ago, everyone was talking about how the yen carry trade was going to bring the market down. Well, when people were talking about the yen carry trade bringing the market down, guess what I did? Instead of listening to the news, I went and I looked at the dollar yen currency pair. Nothing going on there. No volatility, just going sideways. That told me that there's nothing to worry about with the yen carry trade. Now, when people were talking about, oh, these banks are all in trouble, the banks are going to start crashing. Well, guess what? I looked at the chart, and I think that was like right around here. And this chart was telling me there's nothing wrong with the banking industry. So remember, the market is always right. So that's why it's really the only thing you should get your signals from.
Good, really good piece of advice there. All right, Mark.
All right, everyone.
Have a good weekend. Go Patriots for you.
Hey, man, their defense really showed up. You got to give them that.
They sure did. But let me tell you something. They're playing a real stingy defense this week. So both of our teams play on Sunday. Maybe I'll text you. Hopefully we're having a lot of smiles on Sunday.
Right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all next week.
That's Mark Putrino, everybody. Be sure to check out his Substack. We will continue to follow up with him on a weekly basis here. Mark is absolutely awesome. As we wait for 13, we will go ahead and do our pre-market pulse here soon, but let me cover something real quick while we wait for him to get out of bed. Ondas. So I'd seen a couple of you had mentioned this earlier. Jay, shout out to you for reminding the group. Ondas here does have its investor day here today. I believe it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. Someone will have to check me on the actual time, but it's definitely today. But we already have some news that's driving the stock higher here by 5+%. And it is good news. And it is news that we wanted to hear. So Ondas hosting its investor day. It actually, if I go in here, it will probably tell me exactly what time that is. 10 a.m. Eastern. Bang. Let's go. However, we do have some news. 2026 revenue target has been upped to 170 to 180 million. The consensus was 140 million. That is a raise above numbers. Furthermore, we had on his full year 25 revenue was 47.6 to 49.6. The consensus was 38. Q4 revenue between 27 and 29, full year 25 revenue range, that 46.7 to 49.6, raises its full year target revenue to 170 to 180, raising the outlook. This is exactly what we want to see. The final piece in this puzzle, report earnings where we meet or even exceed these numbers. And we're going to be in real good shape here. I'm glad that this turnaround and drone theme story is really working out here. I am expecting good things here in 2026. Big time shout out to the group yesterday for discussing alternative ways to book gains on a position where you have an excellent cost basis, and this has worked in your favor. We talked about selling upside calls against this yesterday. We had talked about this stock sub $1. Izzy, I remember the days long back when you were buying this every day at $1 and selling it at $1.20. Surreal to look back and see that this thing's really kind of carving out low to mid teens here in this. But this is really good news. These numbers, the fundamentals, we want to see some more growth. We want to see Eric continue to fold more technology into the stack here. Giddy up. This has been awesome so far. So Investors Day today, maybe we'll get some more news out of it. Maybe we'll get some more action out of it, but already pretty good. All right, folks, it is that time. Let's go ahead and start our pre-market pulse. Percussion 13, because that intro has a lot of drum beats on there, and that's good for it. I think it does a good job of waking everybody up for the segment. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody this morning?
We're doing great. We are doing great. All right, let's dive right into the movers here today, and we're going to start with the absolute big ripper, if you don't mind. This is going to be Vero, ticker VERO, and this is Venus Concept. This stock closed at $1.43 yesterday, has traded above $6 here today, and is currently kind of holding right around its VWAP here up near 580. The news catalyst on this one, Madryn Asset Management, not one I'm familiar with, but Madryn Asset Management reported a stake of 91% in Venus Concept in an amended 13D that came out yesterday. 91%. Stock is up 299%. I might as well have just said 300%. This stock has 14.5% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 1.7 million. Today, we've traded 98 million shares ahead of the open. And buckle up, because the float on this one, it is 1.38 million, and it is going to move here today. 13, what do you think here on VERO?
Well, it looks like it's been having a pretty good morning. I'm a little concerned about the consolidation that we've been getting for the past couple of hours. I would say that let me just go through this real quick here. So yeah, 13D 91 stake by Madryn Asset Management. Company's got a 1.3 million share in the float, has revenue but does need cash. So we would expect that to see some kind of capital raise coming at some point with this company. Now, as far as the chart goes, this I would be a little bit concerned if this cannot recapture 640. I think that would kind of give us a a pre-market head and shoulders, and I'd be a little bit more concerned about downside from that point. Now, that isn't to say that later on in this regular session we find some support and turn around and continue higher. But for the moment now, it looks like this is I'm a little bit concerned with how this is going to trade into the open. It's getting some support from VWAP, but if it loses that, then I would start to look to the downside levels of 525 and then the 65 EMA for the next area of support if we can't get back above 640.
Okay, that's 65 EMA at 441. I have VWAP here at 482. Current price at 570. Actually, looking at this. This formation here, I'm thinking maybe 530 we really want to stay above. If we kind of give that up, we might accelerate towards some of those targets you just gave us.
Yeah, I just like 525 because I guess maybe a little bit lower.
525, 530. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
We had that 720 impulse candle that sort of gave us a ceiling, and then we broke through it, and now that's going to be support. So I'd be looking around 520, 525 for support, and if we lose that, then 65 EMA is coming up, I believe.
Okay, all right, really good stuff there. 13. Next is going to be one that we've talked about a lot. We've traded this. Actually, I think near the end of last year. This is Jeff Brand's ticker JFBR. Jeff Brand shares are trading higher after the company announced its subsidiary Keep Zone AI entered into a non-exclusive distribution agreement with STI. Now, I haven't looked into what these things are, but looking at the chart here, impulse move from where we were about 58 cents. This is an impulse move up to $1.56. So we entered that dollar territory. We've actually made now a lower high here, so that's going to allow me to draw a trend line here and give us a possible target if we do in fact hold this area and then cross and move through the VWAP. I've got VWAP here at 123, and then as far as the support level, I actually think this 110 to 113 area, this actually might act as support. I'd look out if we give that up. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. 1.78% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Actually a significant decline in the short interest there. As far as the average value, normally does 1.3 million shares. Today it's done 67 million shares. Float on this is 3.16. 13, what do you think here on Jeff Brands or Jeff's Brands? Excuse me.
I didn't really dive into exactly, what the contract's worth or what the distribution agreement is fully entails. But the company does already have revenue and they are going to need cash. So here we go with another one of these. And the next one's probably going to be the same thing. But it does have 3.1 million shares in the float. So still light enough to move around. And this morning we're getting what appears to be a bull pennant. And we've sort of compressed following our impulse move that took us to 154. So you have that trend line on the top side there. There's also one I drew on the underside, and that's kind of the compression that we're seeing right now. We're slightly underneath my VWAP. So if if this is going to be a bullish breakout here, we're going to need to reverse off this bottom of the trend line here and recapture VWAP. That takes us up over 135. 135, I believe, is going to be the breakout spot for the upside breakout out of this.
If we get it.
Yeah. So if now if we start to fall out of this and it looks like we're going to go under $1, well, then maybe this goes even further under $1 and hits the 65 EMA before it turns around. But right now, this is looking like we should be turning around and recapturing the VWAP pretty soon here.
Okay, good stuff there. JFBR is your ticker. Next here is going to be LCFY. This is Locify here. And we've traded this one before, although I can't recall when that was. Stock closed at 313 yesterday, traded up to 7 twice here today. Locify shares are trading higher after the company announced it expanded its partnership with Experience.com. Actually, never used Experience.com. This is to drive localizer product sales across home services market in 2026. Let's see if there's anything else that we got. Target more than 800,000 recently added home services business profiles to its platform, including contractors across roofing, plumbing, HVAC, and other related trades. Yassine, I wonder if you're familiar with the Experience.com or Locify at all. Nonetheless, that's the news. We're up here by 75%. Quick peek at the short interest on this one. Negligible, 0.13% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. That comes on, oh my gosh, the stock is a ghost town. Stock on average trades 17,000 shares a day. That's it. And today it's traded 20.7 million. Float here sub 1 million, so might be a big mover. 13. Do you like LCFY?
Yeah, I agree that it could be a big mover. There's been a lot of these sub 1 million movers this week that have just absolutely taken off. I think that, though, with this one, I'm a little bit more inclined to wait until we get closer to the open. It's starting to look like the momentum is swinging to the downside, although it did just get some support from the 15 EMA, and it's trying to recapture VWAP right now. I get the sense that I think it would be safer just to wait and see what this is going to end up doing closer to the open, because I don't want to start jumping into this as it's on its way down, if there's still more downside ahead. And if we are going to get more downside, it seems like around 450 would be a good support area before the 65 EMA. But if we are going to reverse here, then we do have a little bit of a trend line. I guess we could draw from the two peaks that we
okay. I'll add that here,
and we could kind of use that as a resistance area to shoot for. So if we are going to get a reversal here at VWAP, and it's going to take us back up higher, it looks like 625. That area right now is a little bit contested as it was on the way up. In the past hour, we were running up into this 625 area, seeing resistance, finally broke through it, and then we turned around shortly afterwards. So 625 is going to be another upside level here for resistance that we could break out of. And we're trying to deal with $6 right now, where there's a seller in the way.
Okay. All right. Really good breakdown there, 13. I'm going to keep moving on here. Next one's going to be OCG, Oriental Culture Holding. Looks like this is moving recently here. I'm almost certain this wasn't on your list. Certainly wasn't on mine, but I do see that the movers, we talked yesterday about the movers tool being the best way to find stocks that are gapping. It's done it yet again here today. I don't think, let's see, halted news pending.
One for 220 reverse split and special dividend that they announced on Tuesday. So that could be the news that we're getting. Because they announced that.
They actually announced that on Monday morning. Oriental Culture's a special dividend of 5 cents per share, and like you said, a 1 for 220 reverse split. Yeah. So is that reverse split take effect today? Is that what's going on here?
Let's look. I didn't cover this one, so we'll find out.
116. That's your catalyst. Great job, 13.
Hey, we found out together.
See, that's how. You know what? That's producer. We can't really clip that. That's exactly why these tools work so well together. You can just not know about it and very, very quickly find it out. Wiss here confirming that OCG is just a reverse split pump. JD says it's gross. I would agree with that. Kind of feels that way, doesn't it? Anyway, that's what's going on here. Stock traded up to 4, pulled back. We actually lost the VWAP. 13. Do you have anything else on this?
So this is what they do, collectibles. Okay, so let's see here. I don't have a whole lot of data on this chart from this move. So we did go up to 405. We're losing VWAP right now. It's looking at this first impulse candle at 905. We did hit a high of 297, and this current candle that we're in came down right to 3, so just a few cents shy of that. So I guess that $3 area could be support for the time being. Although we are coming down to it and could lose it right now, but
I was just gonna say,
I think I agree with the gross comment. I don't know about this one.
There it goes, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. Maybe if there is anything here, we'll have to lean on some of the other earlier EMAs, like the 9, which is still way down at 256. I don't know about this one. I think this is going to be one that I would just kind of hands off for now and see what it does after we open.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think that's the smart move. Good stuff, 13.
Is high roller rolling?
Yeah, you know what? I was going to go to this one, but let's actually do that here. I didn't see the news, but here we go. Kathy called this here. Wiss on this too. Roller, this has been a really big mover recently. Did it turn any of you into high rollers? You'll have to let us know. Nonetheless, really good move here in the pre-market from 20 to 25. Wiss says there's news here. Let's check it out. Indeed, High Roller Technology signs a letter of intent for strategic marketing agreement with Forever Network to amplify U.S. prediction markets launch. See if there's anything else that we can get out of this really quick. They intend to leverage game media to support U.S. prediction markets.
Be careful, folks.
This is
now Yeah, it's now the second letter of intent. Oh, we're going to maybe do something.
The first one was with crypto.com, which some other
Yeah.
people, I guess, thought was gross, to be honest.
Well, I mean, it's not that I think it's gross. It's just that it's not solidifying. It's not binding. It's just it's intentions. It's nothing. I mean, it's just outlining what they want to do. But
yeah, it's nothing official, I guess is how I would say that. Forever Network is a Sydney-based digital sports media company that reaches millions of fans across global social platforms and digital properties. Company's flagship brand, Basketball Forever, is ranked among the highest engagement sports media destinations for millennial audiences. And Forever Network's content and fan experiences now span multiple major sports verticals worldwide. This is not, I consider myself a sports nut. I have no idea what this is. But really good point there about the letter of intent. Nonetheless, the vehicle, we know how the stock moves. We've been watching it for multiple days. It's got nothing on the short interest, so we can eliminate that. Floats 3.6 million. On average, it trades 1.7. It's done 1.2 here today. We've got a nice looking chart. What do you think on this, 13? Got to think that the 29 area is going to be a resistance, no?
Let me look at the chart here, because I was looking at it daily and I was like, well, that's not a whole lot of data. But you know what? Back out a little bit more, because I think you might see what I'm seeing. You see any trends?
Yes, I do. I see a trend line.
We're climbing over it. So I guess this would be kind of like the area that I'd be keeping an eye on. We did move over it this morning. We've been holding above it for the past 10 minutes. We're in our third 5-minute candle now. And if this continues to hold, maybe we do see a break above 27.
Okay. Pretty good. I wonder if I'm seeing stuff here. Let's see.
And furthermore, you can even look to the left and see what happened yesterday to get an idea of where this move above 27 could even take the price. So we got 28. There's like some 28.50 areas, but the highs from yesterday is all the way up at 29.40. So there's several different levels you can draw upon for resistance. But the big one, really, to me, looks like it's going to be in the 28 handle, right around 28.50.
Yeah, 28.50, 20. That makes a lot of sense. I also drew this parallel channel in here. Part of me wonders if we'll enter this channel. If so, that might also give us a bit of a blueprint there. Okay, really good stuff with Roller. It's been good all week. Looks like we're going to have another one here today. Let's see. We were going to take a look at ACCL. Maybe this is a really disappointing movement here this morning. Let's see what happened on this one. Still up 48%. What did we have on this? Shareholders approve major capital increase and dual class share structure. This is a but that's the most recent thing I have here. This is a Hong Kong stock. I'll be honest with you, 13. This to me also feels like hands off.
It very well could be. We have seen some of these that we've talked about with, we don't have any information. There's nothing, no news. It's moving on. Let's just, hands off it. And then it ends up doing some tradable things in the morning. So, maybe if you want, you can just keep it on your radar. But this is something that carries I think a significant higher risk than some of the other ones we were looking at. We are beneath the view up right now, trying to recapture the 65 EMA. And I would say that if we draw this little trend line here from the 295 low up through some of these lows in the pre-market, I would say that if we lose this trend line, that it's probably going to come back down, not just to 295, but possibly even lower.
Okay. All right, really quickly here, Jeff, appreciate you. Can't trade OCG, JFBR, or LCFY on Schwab. So I know a lot of us have Schwab brokers. Half of these movers that we're talking about, they can't even trade. To be honest with you, Vero kind of looks like the best one here today. But yeah, unfortunate. I think it's probably also worth mentioning BNAI, because this is one that we've traded recently and multiple times. This popped again here today. Looks like this traded up towards 8. And then also IBRX, which is Immunity Bio. Talked about this in the news opener here. Shares are trading higher after the company announced Quilt 2.005 enrollment has exceeded initial expectations and is now over 85% complete. Also, the company announced an updated efficiency and safety results from the ongoing Quilt 106 clinical study. So IBRX getting some pretty good news there. Looks like 5 is the significant resistance here.
Jay Rice mentioning.
And I'm gonna get to that. Yeah, I was waiting for that to be done here. Do you have anything here on IBRX?
Well, I didn't quite look at this one. I could just take a quick look at the chart. We are getting some support from the 65 EMA and the VWAP right now, following a test of the 200 earlier this morning. So I would expect there to be at least another attempt to try and go for 5. That seems to be the big resistance area this morning. We did pop above it once and go to 518, came right back in immediately. So I would say off this level right here, we should be trying to make another attempt to break over 5. I don't know if it's going to get through it or not, but 5 is the big resistance area from here, I see.
Okay. And here, I'll highlight Jay's comment here. I love any information like this. So 13, this is much akin to when you were like, hey, I talked to my financial advisor and he said a few interesting things. I think that stuff is all valuable to the group. So I will repeat what Jay is saying here. Good morning. Learned something new from a guy a lot smarter than me. And I'm thinking back to as long as I've known Jay, I don't think he's ever admitted that somebody is smarter than him. So that is news in and of itself. First 15 days of the new year, pay attention. That's going to be the place to be. Don't fade them. You can trim, but don't fade. Stick with drones, space, nuke, defense. And then he goes on to say, avoid software names and names that are not working. Hey, doesn't that sound familiar? Haven't we been talking about that? Haven't we been saying, look at the software names, them getting killed?
Software names are getting hammered. They're out of favor. This is not the time to be, going long. I think. I still think that, especially when it comes to like Microsoft and Meta, Microsoft, I think, still has more room to the downside. It had a pretty ugly formation last year that implied it could, see some downside into this quarter. So I think there's going to be opportunities in Microsoft and names like that, but not right now.
Okay. All right. Good stuff, Jay. I always appreciate all of that. Please continue to share that stuff. Yeah.
And I'm glad that this gentleman that you were speaking with is or even you, if this is your take, those 4 themes that you were talking about, the drones, nuclear, space, that's all great. I'm all here for it. I think that I agree with that. Those are the hot themes right now. And I think they could be throughout the year.
ASTS, speaking of that same theme here, ASTS Space Mobile shares are trading higher after the company was awarded a prime contract position on the U.S. Missile Defense Agency SHIELD program. And so this is now venturing into 2 of those themes that he just mentioned, space and defense. So Noel's asking ASTS thoughts. Our thoughts are that this thing is theme me up, Scotty. This is in the theme that we have been talking about. And if what Jay just said about the first 15 days of January panning out, this is where you want to be, at least one of them.
And I totally agree with that. It's just that when it comes to ASTS, I just, it's not my favorite space play. They lose a ton of money. I mean, they really do. And that's the big concern I have. Not that some of these other space plays don't lose, millions of dollars a quarter, but this one is a special case. They really spend a lot of money. So that's the big concern I have with them. But I do, it is on my space watch list. It is in that theme. So can't knock it too hard.
Okay. Kathy here, and I'm skipping the movers list here because unless you guys want to see something here, this looks like a bunch of junk on here. And I think that the conversation and the stocks that you folks are looking at way more in play here, frankly, and more worthy of the discussion. Kathy here brings up Air, smaller space stock with a great chart trading above its average volume the last several days. That average volume is in fact 439,000 shares. If we take a look at the daily chart here, this is what it looks like. Kathy's absolutely right. This thing's really kind of gone here. Remind me again what this one is. Engaged in providing products and services for aviation, government, and the defense market. That's right in the wheelhouse of what we were just talking about. It operates the parts supply segment. Majority consists of sales and increasing of USM and aftermarket distribution of new OEM supplied replacement parts. Repair and engineering segment. U.S. Department of Defense, flight hour components. So this does look like it fits into our theme here. The chart absolutely looks great. Look at the rankings too. Really strong momentum rating, pretty good value rating, good quality rating, and decent growth. Intact, short, medium, and long-term trend. Jay likes this one too.
I mean, look at what we've been doing since the start of the year. January 2nd, we had our very last test of the 20 and 50-day SMAs. We've taken off ever since. So, yeah, I would say theme me up, Scotty, indeed.
Yeah, no question. All right. All right. Jay's asking, did I buy any SSYS? I didn't. I did not buy any of that. I'm sorry, man. I guess you should have pounded the table a little bit harder for me.
Oh, it's okay.
It's my fault. I'm making a joke. I'm being a jerk. So, okay. Is there anything else that you folks want to take a look at? Jay, you know what? I guess we could do this. Jay Harris wants to take a look at some SanDisk levels. Are you up for that, 13?
Sure.
Okay, let me bring this chart up. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. I'll leave the daily chart on here for you. I know we talk a lot about SanDisk pretty regularly in the happy hour. So here you go. I'll be right back, 13.
All right. So just on a daily chart, we've come up over 428. We're at 428 right now, but it seems like 400 was the big spot to get over the past couple of days, or at least this week. You see, this entire week we came right up and started hitting that area, but couldn't break through until yesterday. We finally got that move through, and even though we experienced some selling, we're still higher now. I think in relation to the move we also had with Micron. I'm not sure if this had individual news, but looks like they got another price target raise yesterday. So let me look at here at so that's the support level that I see to the upside. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I think there's not a whole lot of data or any long-term trend lines I can look at to get an idea of where this is going to go. But right now we're not going to we're still climbing higher. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add. The problem that I have is that like Micron, this is very extended. Could it still extend further? Sure. I mean, let's look at the chart, and you can see that we've extended into the 90s before with this, so we could certainly go higher. But I'm not sure that I'm necessarily a buyer up at these high levels. Not like that Micron director is. They're more privy to insider information than I am. But just on an extended basis, this is something I'd wait for a pullback in.
Okay. All right, and then I know I just caught the end of this, so maybe you touched on this. I apologize if that's the case, but you had just mentioned Micron right there. Mm-hmm. You have any thoughts on this chart? I did ask Mark Putrino about this. I don't really think he looks a whole lot at trend lines, to be quite honest with you. But do you have any updated thoughts on this?
I didn't get any answer on that, on that trend line or anything about what we were looking for there. So, I mean, it just looked like he was only interested in the short term. So, I don't have anything else to add. I mean, I'm still looking at that long-term trend line and thinking maybe 360 could be the spot where we finally get some pullback.
That's kind of what I'm waiting for too, rating for here as well. Pullback, even a pullback to the 20. I mean, that's a 40-point move. There's a lot of money to be made there on a trade. And
I'll reiterate, I still think that Micron and SanDisk and all these other memory names are going to go much, much higher. But, we do need to see these pullbacks and corrections.
Just take a break and breathe for heaven's sake.
Well, I mean, there's when you get too super extended, the corrective move can often be pretty hard. Like it'll come in really, really steeply. So I would like to see a healthy correction so that this can continue higher. But here we are, still getting a little extended.
Okay. Real quick here, Suprik, I saw that you were asking this earlier. I'll give you a shot, and I'll also ask 13 because I'd like to get his opinion on this as well. Regarding Ondas here, I love this. I love that you're looking for a buy level because you don't want to chase the move that we just saw here. I also love seeing that you sold it at 15 last time. That was a really good trade. It was basically the top here, so well done. Now, what looks like a good spot to buy? Well, simply glancing at the chart here, I would say anywhere between 11 and 11.5, especially if the stock holds here. This is one of those other recent highs. This would be a first spot. Additionally, I would say that as we get closer to that spot, you're also going to have the 20-day kind of probably meet you right there. So I really think that I like 1150, 1160. Now, one other thing that we can try and do is if we go from the last move here and we draw a line like this, and then we take that line and move it here, Now we have another measured move down. So if Ondas sees a similar type of pullback that we saw near the end of the year last year that brought this thing from the October highs down to the lows in November, if we see another similar move with the same similar trajectory, I'd put this here at about 878. So I would say you're probably, if you have a long-term view on this, you're probably going to be okay anywhere between 850 and 1150, providing everything continues as we go here. Now, none of that's a guarantee, right? The charts aren't a guarantee, so factor that in here. But 13, I know we just opened here. I'll go over to the thing. Do you have any thoughts on possible buy levels for Ondas?
It's looking like it's forming a bull flag, but I'm a little bit concerned about whether or not this is going to hold above 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should come back in. The MACD is indicating on the daily chart that momentum is starting to move to the downside. So we'll see if that ends up happening. The weekly chart is also making me concerned. This is now the second week where we've gone up to 15 and been rejected. So I'm thinking that that's kind of telling us that maybe there's going to be some kind of move to the downside before we come back up and make it through 15. I think that there would probably be a good entry, maybe under 12.
Okay.
I just don't know right now because it's the way that the weekly chart looks. It's starting to put in some upper shadows. So I think I would want to see what happens with the rest of the day today.
Okay, there you go. Maybe look at that 1150 to 12 as well there. Okay, flip it over to the main workspace. Vero here. This is one that on our list, probably the top one on our list here. It actually looks like this tried to push a little bit initially.
And then
came back in a little.
Ondas just had a huge volume spike.
Yeah, it did.
And now it's up over 14. But this is also a resistance area. We'll see what ends up happening here. But
you know what?
I feel like it needs to cool off still.
I'm going to turn this question around. Izzy, where are you at, buddy? Where are you at? You have, since we've been talking about Ondas, you and I think Glenn, you guys have been trading this back and forth quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I've been more of a long-term kind of hold and wait for this to work. So frankly, you probably have even more experience than I do in terms of trading this back and forth here. Give Suprick some targets on what she should look for a potential re-add here, ticker ONDS.
Looks like
Glenn, already answering. Watch the 240-minute cloud reaction. Love it, Glenn. Vero continuing, by the way. Sorry for taking it off the screen. Here we go.
Yep, MACD starting to curl to the upside here. Now we are at that 640 area. Let's see. Oh, we just blew right past it. So this is looking pretty good. 681 next resistance I see. Looks like Jeff Brands that compression. It looks like we were starting to get a little bit of weakness in falling out of that triangle. We're getting bought back up here. We'll see if this turns around and goes up to 135. I would say is the next resistance area if we can recapture VWAP. Vero now pulling a little bit.
Pretty much went to near that pre-market high and stopped there. Cassell says Ondas long hold at 173. I mean, I'm doing the Trump dance. Just that FYI, that's awesome. Congrats. Izzy here said I would wait for it to pull back. Yeah, me too. For an ad, I guess I would just ask, where's that pullback area? I don't know when you're going to get the pullback today. Maybe we got to wait that one out a little bit.
And now here's Jeff Brands going right back up to the top trend line that you drew.
JFBR.
Yep.
Oh, so you're saying that the trend lines that we're adding are working again, 13? Gosh.
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
I'm just saying. Okay, so Vero
up 30 says, I want to see the Ryan dance. Well, that's going to be tough for you because Ryan doesn't dance. That's one skill that Ryan just didn't get.
Just in his bathroom.
Dance in the bathroom? What? There's no way I'm agreeing to that. No, I don't dance in the bathroom. Goldman Sachs straight up out of the gate. Tesla straight up out of the gate. PayPal rocked yet again. Apple also, that actually might be making a run towards 260. We talked about that being a pretty key level. And a quick check-in on Bitcoin here today, 95.8 on the Bitcoin futures.
LCFY halted to the downside right now after losing the VWAP.
Ooh, that was the one that had like the super thin float, right? I think this is sub 1 million. Let me check here. Yeah, yep, 989,000 shares in the float on that.
Yeah, so it might be one of those things where this just, initially sells off, and then after it's shaken a lot of holders out, it finds support, and then because of the float so low, it starts ripping again. Not sure if we're going to get all that, but right now it's in sell mode, it looks like.
Absolutely phenomenal. And this is also phenomenal. Jeremy going to get a register ring here. Dude just made 10% off that GV option sweep that we called off the unusual option scanner yesterday here in Pro. Jeremy, absolutely amazing. GV here. Boy, am I glad. And I am so glad. I will say, I definitely entered this on the wrong day.
Bro.
I was a little bit early. It really pulled back a little bit, but I am so glad that I stuck with it because I'd be kicking myself that I booked a loss here. GV looking pretty good, 700 next. You had Vero, right?
Yeah, Vero was just popping up to a new session high, 712. We're getting a little pullback here. We're above VWAP, so that's going to be a bit of a support area. If we do consolidate up here and try to push higher, I think that 8 would be one of the next areas I'd be looking for resistance. Maybe a little bit higher than that too.
Boom. Daniel, Vero, 580 to 7.
Oh, nice.
Cha-ching. Izzy, freaking out over ASTS, which we talked about here.
Yep. Rocket Lab also up. That's going to hit 100 pretty soon, it looks like.
Yep. Dash to 100 on the space stocks.
Oh, yeah. The space names are all, well, not all, but a lot of them are doing really well today. Fly Aerospace is up 5 3/4. You have VSAT, Voyager. Those are up a couple percent.
Shout out AI Rod. He's keeping his eye on this one. This one may have finally bottomed here. This was a really disappointing IPO, but as he said, maybe we're up off the mat.
ACCL, that underside trend line that we drew. And I was mentioning if we lose that, we could go back down to 295, maybe lower. We just lost it and we're halted at the downside right now. So let's see if we out of the halt, if we get any back testing before more weakness arrives.
Hi. Big thanks to the Story Trading guys. They are also on GEV.
Jeff Brand's also still trying to push through that 135 area. Large selling at 140.
Right at the trend line.
Let's look and see what else is moving here. See if any of these, let's look at roller, see what that's doing. So that not looking great right now. That we lost that trend line, lost the VWAP. Looking for some support here though. Let's see if it'll get it.
Maybe even 24 too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we got 2 halts, ACCL and LCFY. ASTS pulling back a little bit after hitting 113.67.
Sorry, I'm just taking notes here on that GEV, so I apologize, 13.
I'm just looking around to see if there's anything interesting right now. It looks like there's a lot of selling happening in some of these names. Jeff Brands, hasn't pulled yet, but OCG, that's now underneath all the price action from yesterday. So I guess whoever was saying this is gross. Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right.
That person is getting a register ring just because the comment was so accurate and good that's what you're going to get. And you're going to get a 1-up. And Chewbacca loves you. Let's go.
Yep. So disgusting move. Absolutely.
I mean, that is just. Oh, man.
Vero.
That's why we cover these. Sorry, 13.
Vero hit the VWAP or my VWAP. Now we're at 735.36. We're climbing up to that 8 handle that I was mentioning earlier. Maybe we go a little bit higher. Maybe 806, something like that, 805, 806. But here we are making new session highs in VERO.
LCFY is open. That VERO best mover trade of the day here. LCFY, this is open now and recapturing the VWAP.
Yeah, it's looking like it's having a hard time with 6 though. $6. It ran right up to that and then kind of slowed down.
Micron call sweeps, repeat call sweeps. These are actually 0 DTEs though. It looks like these are people trading today.
Oh, look at this. We're at 364 in Micron. So let's see. Okay, so here we are through that trend line. Let's see what happens with the close. Do we hold above it? Do we come back in? Let's see what's going to give us.
Okay. We'll see there, but we're going to get, I'll tell you what, I know we were talking to Mark about this, looking at the trend line ourselves. We're going to figure out what the market thinks of that trend line here today.
Yeah. I need to see if it's going to close above it or beneath it.
Buffalo by Bicycle says Chewbacca cracks me up every time. I mean, who doesn't love a Wookiee?
I mean,
Yeah,
it would make a great carpet, make a great rug.
Someone get this walking carpet out of my way, for heaven's sakes.
Jeff Brand's pushing into some new session highs here, looking for the pre-market highs. Still think that 135 is a bit of a roadblock. If it can get through that, you have 140 and 150 is the next largest concentration of sellers.
Can't buy JFBR on Schwab, don't forget. Also, we're going to get another shout out here. I was asking Izzy what his plan would be for short-term trading on DOS. What he said was wait out a pullback. Yeah. Look what we got. Really good stuff, Izzy. Definitely one of the things that we've learned pattern-wise from this stock, chasing the upside candles is a death blow. Definitely, you should be selling into those candles. If you feel like you missed it, just wait 15 minutes.
ASTS.
The quiet mention there. That's, I think, what I like the most. Galaxy, this is one from yesterday. This was another Izzy stock from yesterday. It's actually doing a really good job holding the huge gains that it had. This ended up being a really good trade yesterday. Maybe we go higher here? I don't know. Maybe it's actually struggling with this level.
Thank you, Chester. I appreciate that. Joe, it's 360, right in that area. So we just crossed it. Now we need to see if it's going to hold a close above it or not.
Immunity Bio made a killing on Immunity Bio. Register, ring it up. This thing was another pretty good trade all day yesterday. Very similar to Galaxy, actually, in its trading behavior. Went a little bit higher here today. To me, it sure looks like 5 is the key level here today. This is your resistance for sure.
Jay was mentioning Roblox. This looks awesome. So we went right up to we're actually at one of our secondary resistance areas. So the first one was the 20-day SMA, where we had that consolidation from December going into the new year, blasted through that. Now we're up at the next resistance area, which was just around 87 to 90, where you have the 50-day SMA. Looks like 90's in the cards. Whether or not we get through the 50-day SMA, don't know if we're going to see that today, or if it's going to provide resistance, pull back, and then move through it at a later date. But really, really nice price action here off of the low 70s, off of 72. Great trade, Jay.
Okay, good stuff there on Roblox. And man, I'll tell you what, on DOS, just really quickly, we are coming right back on after that impulse move. Woo.
ASTS looking for new highs. It's getting pretty close to getting it. We just ran up to the session high of 113.67. Haven't got through it quite yet.
Also, by the way, CCJ at the highs, Planet Labs at the highs. I can't believe we started talking about the stock when it was $5. This thing is $30 now. Just unbelievable move here. Again, theme me up though, 13. This is it. It's been carrying it.
And a lot of these names are in the UFO ETF, and that thing has been on fire.
Yeah, I bet it has.
It's been like a SpaceX launch without the explosions.
Maverick's asking what's next for MU. Well, judging by today, we went right through that trend line at 360. We had the CEO or director. Was it the CEO?
No, director.
One of the directors bought $8 million worth of stock at all-time highs yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, sure looks like the next move here is higher.
I still think that we need to see what happens with the rest of the day.
Yeah, you're right. So let's see if we close beneath that. But man, this thing's screaming here. 366 now.
Jeff Brand's new session high. This one looking like we're actually getting a result of this technical pattern here. Looks like the next resistance area is going to be at about 145, 150. We're almost there. We're like just pennies away from that. And I'm not seeing anything else that's looking particularly interesting. How is Roller doing? Did that turn around? Oh, yeah, it did. Roller turned around. It's back up at that trend line, trying to push through it. We captured VWAP. Pre-market highs, 27.02. We can get above that trend line. That's the next resistance. Oh yeah, Planet Labs. That was a good one, and I think that's one of the ones that I want to keep an eye on for. The big uses of AI. AI, I think, is going to be absolutely phenomenal for all the different kinds of imaging services. Look at Roller Go now. We just went up to 27.
Oops, I didn't have it on the screen here. Sorry about that. Here's Roller.
Yeah. Anything that has to do with like medical imaging or imaging from space or anything that where AI can identify the little things that we can't see when it comes to that, that's where I think the real great use of AI in the near term is going to be. So interested to see these companies that are in imaging doing so well. And Planet Labs is getting a lot of work as well.
Yeah. Our Holly is asking, what's driving Planet Labs so high? Well, we already talked a little bit about the space theme, but you're also talking about the imaging and how much that's being used here. That's helping Planet Labs move higher.
And they're getting more contracts and price target raises. There's a lot of analyst coverage, and typically, I don't think there was a lot of analyst coverage on these obscure space names until they started going, and now you have all these analysts starting to look at them, and they're essentially lifting these prices up by just covering them. So I think that's what is also helping drive this higher, is that you're starting to get a lot of analysts that are making calls on their price targets and how they're going to perform. It's a combination of stuff. ASTS is ripping right now. 115 is where we've gone to and beyond.
IREN might be running into a resistance area at yesterday's intraday high. Sorry, what did you have, 13?
Jeff Brands is halted to the upside, looking for the 154 pre-market high.
Leaving all of us Schwab customers thinking, what could have been?
That's mean. Okay, well, looking around.
Ooh, 3D's asking for a good one here. NBIS targets. I'm actually going to go to the big chart for that. So there's another real great AI name. And actually, I was hoping, 3D, that we were going to get a clean test of this trend line. I basically just extended it. We had this added when this first moved up in October and then gave us a second point in early November. I was hoping for a test of this. I still think we can kind of get there. 13, I'd say, what do you think here? Or do we basically just call this the trend line and cut that last spot down? Let me know what you think here in terms of targets. I still think that 115-ish in the cards for NBIS.
Following the September 8th, 2025 gap up, I've got a falling wedge here that I've drawn. I don't know how long I've had this pattern drawn on here, but it wasn't too long ago when I last looked at this. But if you take draw a trend line from the low September 9th, which is after we gapped up, and draw it through the December 17th low, you have that bottom trend line there, and then use your top one. That kind of forms a bit of a falling wedge, I would say, and I'd be looking for a breakout of this. Now, it might be some time before this actually happens. It could find resistance up at this 110 area and come back in, but we could also break out of this potentially as well. So this is kind of what I'd be keeping an eye on. We're also seeing the 20-day SMA crossing the 50-day SMA to the upside. So that's another technical indicator that could be telling us it's getting ready to go higher.
Okay, I definitely want this to hold 100, and I would think that as long as it does, probably 115 to 120-ish would be my target in the near term. Okay, Jeff Brands at the pre-market highs. Let's see, what else do we have going here?
Check this out. So ASTS coming up to trend line here. You draw it from the high of yesterday through the high of the after hours, and we're about to hit that. I'd say 117, maybe 117 and change. Yep, there you go.
Oh, heavens to Betsy.
We'll see if there's if we get a reversal there, if we just break through and keep going and use this as support after we break through. But right now, this trend line's resistance.
Let's be a good human. Ring that register. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy your weekend, boss. We'll see you on Tuesday. Remember, market closed on Monday.
Yep. Have a good long weekend, sir. Looks like VELO is having a nice turnaround following the selling yesterday.
And that's not to be confused with VERO, which is one of our movers here today.
Yeah, which is also getting some support from the VWAP. Kind of going sideways for the time being. Can't seem to get over 740. Can't seem to break beneath the VWAP.
Go ahead. Sorry. No. Finish.
Whichever one happens first, that's probably the direction we're headed.
Okay. Real quick, we were talking earlier about Micron. I did notice that the Micron CEO was on CNBC, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. Billy here saying Micron 365. The CEO was on CNBC talking about the supply constraints into 2026. So you know what, 13, maybe that drives it higher?
Well, I would kind of say yes and no, because we have demand, which is going to be very, very high. But if it can't meet that demand and those chips are already sold,
that's true.
Well, then what are they going to sell? So that the supply constraints could be a double-edged sword.
Micron here today, trading to the upside. Actually, 365.81 looks to be the high. It is still holding above its VWAP after this move, up almost 8% again. Here's SMCI. This ripped out of the gate. Looks like some of you are trading the levered products for this. Lion says Micron's going to 400.
Oh, I think it could go higher than that.
And then Izzy's mentioning Archer as a mover here. We saw this and Joby move yesterday. Archer just bouncing back. I don't know if this constitutes a wow for me, but Archer, nice move here today. Still under yesterday's intraday highs and held yesterday's intraday lows. So we're still inside yesterday's trading action.
So Jeff Brand's unhalted, went up to 174, and now it's pulling a little bit. Looks like LCFY is trying to get going here. Seems to be still having trouble with the 620 area. ASTS, we initially went right up to that trend line we drew, and then the very next candle, which is the one that we're in right now, we pushed through it. Oh, nice. There we go. Yeah. Velo 3D Systems coming up to a resistance area around 1965.
13, always when I put a number, he tries to beat it and go higher. LOL.
Not always. No.
Wyatt, I love it. You missed it this morning. So I had a tweet. One of those tweets from Street Tweets was from Kathy Wood saying that there might be a cap on gold. And I said that on the show, I said I wanted to get this out of the way before Lion shows up so he doesn't lose his mind. And he shows up 2 minutes later and he goes, Ryan, I heard you smack talking King Gold.
One of the names that I got in for the long term, Newmont, has been doing really well. That thing's looking like it's going to get to 120 at some point soon. Hey, I love you, Lion.
I can't help it. We have fun around here. That's what makes it. That's what makes it. That's what makes it. Rocket actually having a good day here today too. That was ASTS. That's through the trend line, by the way. ASTS, that one that we just added. Rocket, This sure looks like this wants to go higher as well.
Yeah, it looks like 26 could be in the cards next.
MU curling back up towards the top two, that 365.81, your intraday high.
Let me look at Rocket Lab. How's that? Did we get over 95 yet? Oh, we're well past that. Jesus. This is another one that I think, and I own this, but this is another one that I think does need to, kind of cool off a little bit here too. I wouldn't mind seeing this around 80 again, so it can, get ready for the next move up. But this is a little bit more than I was hoping for. Getting pretty extended though. Jeff Brown's broke the high of the day. Yes, it certainly did.
And Moto Guru 007 asking about SPY. SPY here, we took a look. 13, if you want to go over the daily chart, you can. We took a look at this. It's still really just kind of trading sideways here. Looks like we're basically rolling over to the pre-market lows. But still, with SPY, we are completely inside yesterday's range. I don't think there's really anything to take away from this yet.
Yeah, kind of an inside candle with all the price action we've seen. Yep,
Yeah.
So far, exactly. And the support that we got yesterday was down around 691.30. Don't know if we'll get support exactly at that level, but the two important levels of the downside where I'd be looking for support are going to be previous all-time highs. That's going to be 692.32 and 691.66. WGO on the go. Let's go.
Winnebago. How did that really small, thin power generator stock go?
That went south after that move, but I don't think it's necessarily done. I don't think it's necessarily. Hey, that's fine. I took a lot of it off the table. That was a really. I'm telling you right now. I had a really good time yesterday as soon as a happy hour started.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware. So we actually talked about this on happy hour when it was $3. We talked about this being extremely thin. They have some portable power generator, something. It's a real company, but it's just super thin. And yesterday, there were a couple of folks, including 13, that were holding this thing. And what a rip you got in the after hours. This is another example of why, especially when you have some of these stocks, it is just absolutely imperative that you take gains on this. And this was like a monster trade for one of our members in there that was holding like 40,000 shares of this company.
And this is kind of a theme that we're kind of exploring. We're not sure if it's a very strong one, but it might be. And this is the inability to afford homes kind of theme. So, and I'm not making a joke about this. So I know it might sound a little bit silly, but if people can't afford homes, apartments, then it seems like to us the alternative would be trailer parks, camping sites, things of that nature. So Winnebago. Camping World, CWH, which has been doing phenomenally lately. And then, of course, power generation, which is where RAYA came into play. So just some, and New Oil Brands also was up in there as well, but they're really diversified. So they're not just camping stuff. But the whole camping and missing out on being able to afford homes or home affordability is leading our group to think that maybe there's a theme here that is providing trades, and so far it's looking like that's the case, especially with WGO and CWH.
And the other aspect of this too is that there could be just an affordability issue in general, right? We've got electric prices going up because of data center expansion and all of that. You mentioned the home inaffordability and how difficult it is. There's also the group that wants to get off the grid. Or maybe, or maybe not be as connected. This entire theme fits very, very well with that. So,
that's it. So,
Frozen King says, to be honest, I'd love to sell my 3,000 square foot house and live in a campground.
Thank you for joining the theme. You're helping it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just something that we've explored, and we can see with these stocks. They're what?
Here's some boots on the ground intel for you. We travel with a trailer. We've seen more and more full-time livers. 13's face says it all right there.
I don't think these are done yet. WGO, CWH, they could still keep going.
Okay, cool.
I mean, now I will have to say this caveat: CWH looking pretty extended here, so I would expect there to be some resistance soon, maybe once it hits 14. But being that this is in a theme, it's going to have some back and forth, and it can continue later on this year. We're just in January. So, and we're coming off of what looks to me like a double bottom on the daily chart.
Here we go. More. I actually do live in a campground in a 35-foot camper. Backbone, here's what I'd like to know. In your estimation, is there a growing population of this? Is that campground filling up with other campers? Is this expanding like we're hypothesizing here? What do you think?
Micron's selling off.
Yeah, it is. I was actually just taking a look at that. I've got that up on one of my other screens here. 360's coming in here, 13.
I'm not saying anything until we see what the end of the day gives us.
I understand. No early calls. I'm with you on that.
Geez. And then
wow, we have a lot of folks that travel here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Tara says, full-timer here. Lance Black says, I live in a 41-foot Tiffin motor coach, and I've been traveling the last 5 years.
And, it's
wow.
It's a multifaceted thing when it comes to home ownership. I mean, not just the price of homes or the mortgage rates, but also the insurance. In some states, the property tax is killing people. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense just to, get on the road and have wheels underneath you, and that's your home.
I am shocked. There is way more people in our little community here that actually have experience with this. This is phenomenal. I'm glad you brought this up, 13. Way to go.
Why are we not running a poll? How many of you?
Producer.
How many of you are in living in RVs or mobile homes? Let's get a poll going. And this isn't to disparage anybody. This is to actually get some real data here.
And here, Tara, I appreciate this. We did this to take care of all of our bills. It dropped our outgoing expenses, I think is what you were trying to say there, immensely. Mm-hmm. We have almost a clean slate. So you're able to actually reboot by doing that entirely.
Okay, now I got to ask this.
Now run the poll, producer. Where are you at?
Trout bomb. That's 500 to 700. Does that include full hookups too? Because if it does, I'm telling you, that's the cost effective way to go. Absolutely. And then of course, and then you can use Starlink. Okay. So there's that angle there too. Man, I kind of think that's going to bode really well for SpaceX. If you have a lot of people that are in RVs that are traveling a lot and they need internet, there's probably not a better one out there than Starlink because you can get that service anywhere.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's see what's we got going on here. With
look at this. The amount of zero utility folks that we have here is absolutely awesome. Moved to Northern Maine. My house is run on solar and a wood boiler. No utilities.
The van down by the river is nice.
Just out here. JJ is just out here. Look, if you're gonna show love to Chris Farley, you'll get props for that for sure.
Bloody freaking da!
Dude was gone way too early. Absolutely hilarious, and we'll do that on a Friday for sure.
We're having fun on a Friday.
Bloody freaking da!
Oh man, that was one of the best skits ever.
No, what happened to that show? Good God. Okay, all right. Back to the scanner.
All right, looks like we're getting a little bit of relief from the selling in some of these names. Vero finding some support from the pre-market highs. Jeff Brand still kind of making its way down, hasn't quite hit the pre-market highs yet as support. OCG, this gross one, kind of going sideways for the time being. We'll see if there's anything to be had with this later on this morning. ASTS went up to 120. Just a couple cents short of 120, came right back in underneath the trend line. Now we're back up here testing it again.
All right, so Izzy, I shouted you out on that already. Maybe you took a step away or you took your kid to school or something. I shouted you out already. You had said I had asked you specifically earlier about a price, and your specific answer was wait for it to pull back. And look at the chart. That is exactly what you should have done. Look, and I had said this too. When we talk about Ondas, we've looked at this a lot. This is not one that shows us that you want to chase those up moves, right? The up move that we got yesterday got sold it twice. It happened once again here today. So,
and just look at the weekly. This is the thing that was kind of worrying me about if we're going to go a whole lot higher right now. And this is kind of why I think we need to maybe wait. We'll see what happens next week, but I think this chart is illustrating why we need to just hold off for a second. I think there could be some more downside. I think we could see under 12 prints, but I'm not 100% sure. But it is getting into some pretty attractive pricing for a pullback. How far down are we off this high as a percentage? Let's see here. We're down about 15%. So some people would call that a correction.
And down 8% high to low intraday here today. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, and then producer did not hear us with the poll. So I had said that we did a poll about living off of the grid on a campground in a trailer. How do we want to phrase that? Do we want to add anything to it? Do we want to... Producer's here now, so we should be good.
Do you live in a house or an RV? Or mobile home, and those could be the choices. That should give us an idea of who's in a home with a foundation and who's got wheels on theirs.
Yeah, so I guess that would be the delineation, right? Trailer, camper, campground, any of those things that allow you to live off the grid. I would just say off grid versus on grid probably is what we're trying to emphasize there. Up 30 says my house runs on whiskey. That's how I run on the weekend.
I bet your house
Trout
smells
Bum
wonderful.
says trade in the morning, fish in the afternoon. Life is good. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
I was getting asked about Jag X.
Yeah, a couple of times. Let me bring it up on screen.
So this one today, I mean, it's got a nice 47% move here, and this is some of the highest volume I've seen since it sold off on Monday. With this candle today, we've recaptured the 20-day SMA, but we are getting rejected by the 50. So I think for now, I would be curious if we hold $1. That's going to have to be the line in the sand for me. Holding above $1. If we start falling beneath that, then this could certainly come back down into the 75-60 cent area that it was before. But that's what I'd be looking at as a dollar support, resistance, of course, the 50-day SMA, and then after that 150. I would say is resistance.
Okay, good stuff. Poll is up, folks. Be sure to vote. I'll actually go vote too, just to increase this a little bit. And also, since we're asking you politely to vote, would you also please gently click the like button?
He put cabin in the woods. That's funny.
Our producer's good, man. He's a laugh riot.
We're getting exactly what we were looking for out of Jeff Brand. So this, after going up to 184, came back in and found that pre-market high as support, and now it's turning around, trying to take the next leg up. So if we continue to get volume expansion here, we could see some higher prints than 184. But looking at the price ladder, there's a lot of sellers in the way, and I'm not sure that the volume that we're getting right now is going to be enough. So we need to see an expansion of volume here to take us higher.
I'm sorry, which ticker was that again?
This is Jeff Brand's JFBR.
Jeff Brand's JFBR. Okay, got it.
Yep. And it looks like Micron is trying to come back up to get 360, but the VWAP's in the way, and it's not getting back above it quite yet.
I've got the VWAP, the exact price, 359.63. So basically right on the nose there. Man, you guys, all this talk about like off-grid, cabin in the woods, private scenery, nature, like, is just making me want that. So, I mean, there's, a mountain view would fix me right now. That'd be something else.
I got to look up, and maybe some folks that are out in the Houston area, Texas, have done this already, but there's this service that has these trailers that are all set up for you. They have a code on the door, and you can go and rent these for the weekend for camping in the woods. It's more along the lines of glamping, the glamorous camping, but it's really convenient if you don't have a trailer and you just want to have a trailer-like place to stay. I have to get the information for you, but they come with these massive windows at the back of the trailer, so where the beds are. So when you wake up, you just open this and you have like this fantastic view of the forest and the scenery. I'll have to look this up for you guys because it's definitely worth taking a trip for.
That sounds awesome. And Tennessee is actually another place that I've considered. All right, ASTS, this did break above the trend line. It actually did break above 120, and actually it looks like this kind of gave you almost a makeshift back test of that trend line and also the 9 EMA. ASTS looking real strong here.
Yeah, it's still holding above that trend line. Not sure about this current candle though. That doesn't look great to me. Let's see if it can hold this trend line after this this candle. That looks a little bit weak.
Spiro Bill is asking, are we expecting a decision from the Supreme Court regarding tariffs today?
I don't think so.
No, and I think when they extended that, they said it could be Friday, but I don't think they ever committed to that.
Yeah, and one of the things we were talking about yesterday when it comes to this continued delay of the Supreme Court ruling, that tends to bode well for Trump. And the reason for that is because it means that continuing delays means that there's revisions happening with the ruling. So it's speculated that those revisions that we're continuing to get could be more favorable to keeping the not keeping the tariffs on, but maybe not having to pay back the tariffs, or maybe the court is going to issue a stay and send it back to Congress to make some legislation on whether or not the administration can do this. So don't know exactly what the final ruling is going to be, but the fact that this is being delayed is boding well for the administration.
Yeah, and All's Rising here saying, I heard after hours if they do in fact make it today, and we kind of floated that yesterday. We said, yeah, at the time that it would probably be if it was today, it's 4:30 p.m. right after the market closes.
By the way, Vero hit our 8 level, and it's backed off. Hasn't quite hit the trend line, but $8 was the next level we were looking for. We got that exactly. We'll see if we can continue higher and go for that trend line, which is now looking at to be about 850.
This is a pretty good like formation here, right? This just feels very orderly on the way up.
IBRX, I know folks are trading this one. This is making new session highs. Hasn't gone up to the 518 pre-market high, but this is not too far away.
$5 was the level that we talked about. We did break above that. Can we hold above this and maybe build above it? That would be the next question.
Red wire almost at the 12 level that I've been waiting for.
Okay. Unusual option sweep here. This is an out of the money sweep on Chevron, ticker CVX. Traders buying the 170 calls expire March 20th. They bought 1,000 of them, spent about $500,000 on that. CVX upside out of the money call buy on the unusual option.
Lion, I'd argue that the Supreme Court's been politicized decades ago.
Yeah, it's not a new thing. That's just, well, I won't even say it. ENS, that also had a fairly decent sweep here. Open door, 4,000 contract sweep for the 7 call. That expires next week. $100,000 bet on that on open right there. Man, do we traditionally have more unusual options later in the week? I felt like this thing was a ghost town earlier here. But you know what? We talked about them maybe waiting for that Supreme Court decision. Just to kind of circle back that. Anyway, some interesting option sweeps here today, no doubt. Oh, here's another one. ISRG. What do we have here?
Oh, ISRG. Okay.
ISRG. This is an unusual put sweep. 475 out of the money put sweep expires at the end of February. Trader bought 1,400 puts and spent $620,000 on that call. ISRG.
What strike did you say?
475.
Okay. I see the area he's talking about. That goes all the way back to 2024, the summer of 2024. The next big area of support that I see with ISRG is going to be that 520/200-day SMA area. So we're looking at, but that's a big gap to fill to the downside. It even goes beyond that price target. I think it looks like the gap fills around 467. So I wonder if that's being factored into that trade plan. You see the gap I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, right in here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. I think that's what they're looking at.
God, more rocket calls here too. Interestingly enough, these are the end of March, so these are, I believe, a weekly contract. I'll double check that here in a sec. Rocket, these were the 25 calls. The 23 calls, I beg your pardon. Trader bought 2,000, spent $630,000 on that trade. Rocket. Some interesting stuff on this.
This is shaping up to be a fantastic day here.
Penumbra, nearly $1 million sweep there, but let's see. Is that a close? Yeah, that was a closing order.
Jeff Brand's
got it. Sorry.
Searching for that 184 again. I think with the price action we've been getting, I'm going to take that high from the pre-market, that impulse move, and draw it to that 184 high. This is going to give us a trend line that I think is going to get broken here. That would take us over 190.
I can't believe this.
What? I
just said to you folks that a mountain view would fix me. just a couple of minutes ago. One of my coworkers who's on vacation just sent me 2 pictures of one of the most gorgeous mountain range out in the Grand Tetons.
Oh, she's watching the show.
I don't think he is. He's literally traveling out in the mountains.
Has to be. I'm just messing around, but that's some pretty interesting timing. All right.
Okay. That is serendipitous. That is serendipitous. Izzy mentioning that Netflix is under 88 here. Price is okay. It's under 88, but do we still know what's happening with the Warner Brothers Discovery? And the stock has earnings in 4 days. Now, I do think, God, I think they're probably going to put up a good number on that earnings print, aren't they?
I'd have to look into that some more. I'm not sure.
I think they will. That's going to encompass the people like me that bought Netflix for the football games.
Oh, it's Netflix you're talking about? Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about Warner Brothers Discovery.
Oh, sorry. My fault for being unclear.
I was going to say, for Warner Brothers Discovery, I don't know about that. Movies have had a tough 2025. It's like the worst year in 30 years for movies. So, I don't know about Warner Brothers Discovery. Maybe Netflix will. I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to look into that and think about it. I'm not sure what we're going to see out of that. I'm just a little bit distracted with Redwire right now. This hit 12. My trade's over with this. This has been fantastic.
Okay, you know what? If your trade's over, let's ring that register. Really good stuff. I told you guys we were going to have fun on a Friday. Yeah, see that's what Izzy, I'm with you on this. So, okay, Izzy, I'm with you on both of these comments. No buy yet, low 80s on Netflix. That was what we identified from the chart. 13 agreed with us. That's the blessing that we needed. But also the number, boxing, football, Stranger Things, the number, I'm expecting a good number out of that, Izzy. I mean, you know what? Maybe we do. Maybe we ask Anne Marie about a Netflix earnings trade. See, now we're putting the pieces together.
Yeah, maybe Netflix could try to climb back over the 500-day SMA first, but it's really oversold. We're under 20. Well, we were just a moment ago under a 27 RSI, which is a pretty oversold figure. Not saying that it couldn't go lower, but I'm thinking I would expect a little bit of back and forth if we're going to make some more downside.
Wiss is asking, is X down for anyone else?
Take care, Judge.
It would appear that it is for me, although my X Pro, I think, is still updating. Maybe not. Wiss, you might be onto something here. X might be down temporarily. Peace and love, Judge. Take care of yourself. Go Bears, indeed. Indeed. Wiss, I think you're correct. My X Pro is not updating at all. I don't think I'm getting any new Twitter posts. And X.com did not resolve for me. So Dara, Wiss, I'm getting the exact same thing you're looking for.
I'm not sure about any of these names right now. Redwire is still continuing to climb higher. I mean, this thing is just kind of on a rip. That's fine.
13. Look at this. Look at Micron. So we had that big pulse. You said, no. I'm not going to be head faked. I'm going to wait see how the rest of today is. It came back into 360. Tried to recross that to the upside. The VWAP at 360. Couldn't do it.
I'm not taking any victory left.
Add mud? Question mark?
Well, I already told you when I was going to do it.
I'm asking for myself now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mud starter taken right here. We'll hold that over the weekend. It's 350 or 455. Maybe I paid too much. Long mud for a swing.
Yeah, I mean, Redwire is still climbing. Maybe it goes up to 1260, but I'm already out. I don't want to own it up here. I think it's getting a little extended. I'd wait for some weakness in Redwire before I'm jumping back in. Oh, wow. Look at Micron now.
Yeah, getting more reports here that X is indeed down for y'all. SMR, here's a move. Who was this asking? Supric asking if there's any news here on SMR.
Other than the pretty favorable looking pattern, I mean, look at that daily chart. It's looking pretty good here. I mean, you see.
Oh,
you see
dude, we got to extend this trend line. Look how good this was, 13. Look how good that was. It almost touched it right on the head.
But I'm more. I mean, yeah, that's you're right. That's looking great. I'm just kind of looking at this formation we've been getting since November. This bottoming formation does appear to take on the shape of an inverse head and shoulders. And if that's the case, I think we're going to want to see what happens around 23. That might be the general area of the neckline. If we can look at where the moving averages are on this. We're at the 500 and the 50 day SMAs. We're trying to recapture both. If we do that, then I think we are going to start to see our inverse head and shoulders resolution. It might take a week or so to get through 23. But this is looking pretty good. So I would want to see some closes over those two moving averages I mentioned. Planet Labs at all-time highs, fantastic. No, it certainly is hitting 30. Yeah, I think we wouldn't hurt to maybe pay yourself. I don't want to tell you what to do with your money, so you make that decision. But we have been up at this area here before with the RSI. I think this is kind of the extension that I would be probably selling into. It may climb a little bit higher, but I can't justify, completely flat out saying, oh, yeah, this thing is just going to keep going. I need to see some pullback in this. It's been great. I'm glad it's worked out for you, but this is very extended.
Tom here saying Buffalo Bills Saturday, Chicago Bears on Sunday. Weekend's looking good. Yo, the next time somebody goes and talks to Neil over at Trader TV, someone tell him, let's get a Bills Bears Super Bowl. Let's see what he says. We talked about the Bills playing the Bears last year. I'd like to do that again this year. We'll see if we get that. That'd be fun.
I'm sorry, Ryan, but I'd like to see the Bills finally win their first one.
Yeah, I would never think that you're ever going to say, I hope the Bears win. So, I mean, I don't have any illusions on that. Look, I'll say this. If the Bears don't make the Super Bowl, I would also be rooting for the Bills.
There's been times where I've gone for the Bears just because, I like our division.
I'm just glad it's a rivalry again, to be quite honest with you. I'm just glad it's a rivalry again. All right, looking through some more of the stocks here. So there was no news there on SMR, although that's having a pretty good move. Vero, this continues its orderly move to the upside from just up and to the right on the chart. It's been doing that all day here today. Jeff Brands, looks like that continued here. Yep, more new highs here for Jeff Brands, leaving all of the Schwab people behind.
Actually, you didn't draw the trend line. I actually hit the trend line exactly. Again.
Yeah, you know what? I did, but I think I switched away from it too quickly, and then it just didn't. I think you had this, right?
Yep, that's it. I used the that one that we got at 9:55 because it started to retreat from there. So I was like, okay, now we actually have some trend points that we can draw into, and now here we are trying to push through it. If we do get this candle to close above this trend line, which is going to happen in the next 1 minute 40 seconds, let's see if it closes above this trend line. If that happens, I think we could lean on this as support and see some higher prints. If it doesn't, we get rejected here, well, could end up going lower. ASTS also pulling back. That's starting to look like it's going to roll over here. Momentum seems to have shifted toward the downside. We'll see if it holds above VWAP.
Haven't seen anything eye-popping off the option scanner. Oh, did I speak too soon? No, this was a closing order. So it looks like a trader here closed an order. IBRX, the 350 calls, they had 10,000 of them. Closed that for 2.7 milli. Stock is 5 today. That was a winner. Tesla calls getting bought. That's interesting. Tesla massive reversal, but actually at yesterday's intraday lows, right about where the stock closed. Now actually seeing some call sweeps into the name. These, I believe, are short term. Yeah, these are next week on Tesla.
I'm just kind of looking at a lot. Oh, the ugly one's starting to turn back up, and it's not surprising. It's this is something we had kind of alluded to might happen. We've seen it before with these really junky names, especially the low float ones. They just absolutely kill the price, go well underneath the price the price action from yesterday, and now it's starting to turn back up. Let's see if it can get a recapture of 220. I think that's the next big resistance area.
Is that JFBR?
No, that is OCG.
Sorry.
The ugly
OC.
one.
Oh, the nasty
gross
one.
one.
The gross one.
Yeah, makes you feel all sticky. So else, it's not looking great. Jeff Brand still trying to hammer that trend line. Couldn't get through it on that first candle, but it hasn't retreated. So maybe this next one here, if it gets enough volume, might be able to do it. That's going to be the key now. Getting through this trend line does it have enough volume? Planet Labs.
And then can it hold above if it does, in fact, move above it? Planet Labs, ticker PL.
Yeah, I think that was still pressing a little bit higher, but I think let me look at the 5-minute chart because I was looking at daily. Yeah, it's kind of just consolidating up here. It doesn't look like it's really set to go a whole lot higher at the moment. Still could push up into 31, but it's starting to lose a lot of volume here. That Micron is having a very hard time with VWAP. You could see a test of the 65 EMA coming here.
Virgin Galactic at the highs. Boy, it looks like that entire space theme.
Oh, yes.
MUD appearing on the relative volume scanner, interestingly enough. We'll see. I mean, look, that's a short termer. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, this is fantastic seeing all these space names do so well. The one that's down the most is Momentous, but that's had some momentous volume lately.
Yeah, indeed. VIX here holding 1579. Looks like the VIX really doesn't want to go beneath 15. I would imagine that probably puts the cap on our SPY upside here. And 695, that was basically the high yesterday. I guess maybe 696-ish. I'm starting to see some new posts come through here on X Pro, but the posts is X down. So I'm not sure it's really working for anybody at the moment.
The SPY actually came down to the two previous all-time highs that I was talking about that may end up being support. So these are we're gonna have to see price action reverse pretty soon. Otherwise, we're gonna go through these. We haven't hit the lows from yesterday, but those previous all-time highs, I'll say them again. They're 692.32 and 691.66. We actually this current candle, we kind of bounced almost exactly off that. I think we're just a few cents shy of that actual level, but this is where we're going to have to turn around if we're going to see some more upside. This is the last strong area of support before we, I think, could see the underside of 690.
Sorry, I'm reporting this issue with the hover over menu in Pro not disappearing when it should. So just give me a sec here.
ONDS going red.
It's still green. I can actually bring it up, though, while I'm finishing this message.
And we are getting support from the 13 handle, but it has been trading slightly beneath it as well. It's looking like it's trying to get some support. Maybe it gets a little bit lower around 1280 like it was yesterday. Hope you have a good weekend too, Shady. Roblox, we were looking at that earlier this morning. That's actually still trading very well with what Jay and I have been looking at here as far as reversal goes. Really nice reversal from last week. We bottomed, and then this week we've just been absolutely running. run right over the 20-day SMA, and we've run into the 50-day SMA. That value of the 50-day SMA is at $90.04. So still acting as resistance for now. If we do get above it, there's a slight gap that could be filled from 91.84 to 93.40.
All right, 13. Let's start wrapping here.
All right.
Not music, just the wrap up. I guess I should be more specific. All right, we're going to start here with Vero. I got to say, right off the top here, this looks like one of the movers of the day here today. Very, very orderly, multiple legs up here. Did a really good job staying above some of the indicators that we use on the chart here. We're a bit extended away from the VWAP, and it looks like these pushes higher are kind of slowing down. But right now, actually, it looks like we're bouncing right off that 9 EMA. So 13, you got any thoughts here on Vero for the rest of the day?
I still think that trend line we drew is going to be in play as resistance. I don't know if it could get up there still or not, but if we do pass the $8 high that we made about 30 minutes ago, that trend line is where I think the resistance is going to be. So somewhere between 850 and 890, I would say, is going to be the next resistance area if we do get this impulse move that takes us over 8.
Okay, beautiful. Next one here is going to be JFBR. This is Jeff Brands. This moving higher on a agreement with STI. We did end up getting through our trend line that we identified from the pre-market, and we did push higher. But what do you think going forward here, JFBR?
We have not seen any of these candles close above that trend line that we drew. We did have one push above it that led to a print of 196. We've come back in since. So just like the last one we were looking at, this trend line going to be a resistance area. We can't start closing above it. I'd say that we would come back in to the downside. Support appears to be around from here. It looks like you're going to get a little bit at 170, but I think the stronger support is going to be down around 150, where you have VWAP and the pre-market highs.
Okay, really good stuff there. Next one's going to be LCFY. This was kind of a disappointment. We did have a pre-market trend line that outlined a potential target, but we never really firmed up, and we've really struggled to build and move away from the VWAP in any constructive manner. The stock, to me, looks like this is going to test 5 and try to go lower. What do you think, 13?
Yeah, it hasn't really done a whole lot this morning. It's just kind of been drifting down. Momentum has, been indicating that ever since we had that move up to 743 in the pre-market, that it's just swung to the downside and hasn't recovered. So I would say that if this is going to continue to the downside, your support area that I see from here is going to be the 65 EMA, and then beneath that, maybe about 420, 415. I don't know if this is going to turn around. It's doesn't look like it's got the volume, but if we are going to get a reversal, watch for volume expansion and a recapture of VWAP.
Okay, beautiful. And OCG, we'll finish with that. Yep, still gross. Now it is bouncing here, but maybe be careful. You tell me, 13.
No, this is what we were saying that could happen. It looks gross, went all the way down beneath the price action from yesterday. It's recaptured the VWAP. It's recovered all of the EMAs. We're above the 200 now. So this because it's a very low float stock, this could get pushed around and manipulated to the upside. We have a big resistance area that we're at right now, 1240. We just blasted through it, and here we go
right to the VWAP.
And next
unbelievable.
Next resistance going to be 250, 3, and maybe 360 after that. I don't know exactly how high it's going to go, but remember, this is a very low float, so it could do anything.
Okay, really good stuff. 13, closing words for the group ahead of the long 3-day weekend.
Oh, folks, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the games. And folks, see you on Tuesday. Have a great time. Take care.
All right, that is 13. Another excellent week from 13. We'll check in with him next week. His departure today leaves room for the one and only Anne-Marie Band. Let's bring her on. Anne-Marie, happy Friday. You've got that angelic halo going on. We love it. How you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited for this 3-day weekend. We got a makeshift surprise blizzard here in Chicago this morning, and I don't have to go anywhere, so I absolutely love it. We're doing good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. What does makeshift surprise blizzard mean?
Well, I didn't think there was one in the forecast. When I woke up, it looked relatively tame. And then when I got out of the shower, Old Man Blizzard had rolled through where I live, and it was all over the place. We got this beautiful fresh coating of snow.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
I think you guys are suffering from the same Canadian clipper that's coming down to kiss us. It's 40 degrees here.
Oh, how about that? I wouldn't say that I'm suffering, but I know what you're talking about there. The Florida people experiencing 40 degrees, they're probably ready to lose their mind.
Oh no, they're in parkas and mucklucks.
Parkas. Oh.
Parkas and mucklucks. Okay, let's take a look at things. You talked about Micron. Let's hop there really quick first. Now, I went to the news on this, and apparently, one of the directors bought $7.5 million or something.
7.82 million yesterday at all-time highs on the open market. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is something that makes you go, oh, isn't that interesting? Well, we have a couple of things that we've got to stare down. First of all, could it be that, hey, they're thinking about, 7 years from now, possibly, right? And we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days really working at staying below 350. So this entire region has been inventory accumulation, but everyone has said, you know what? I'm not buying over 350. And then that news comes out. Who are the first people that will be compelled to buy? The shorts.
Ah, right, because they're going to rush to cover. Yes.
Holy cow! I gotta cover. So they are compelled to buy. Now, notice since we began the day, we moved up, and now we're drifting back down. So my thought is this is going to collapse right into the gap and potentially pull back a little bit as people go, oh, all right, well, that's probably a great sign for the future, because maybe he's looking to turn that 7 million into 70 million. But at this juncture, maybe just in better shape, waiting for the base of this formation to get tested. So how will that work? If you're a trader and you go, I want to buy some of this, but I don't want to buy it up here at, $350. What might I do if I want to buy it? And so, the simple thing to do if you actually want to buy that is, if you want to go to February, you're saying, hey, I just want to get involved. You go to oh my gosh, would you believe I actually forgot? Yeah, 327. 2 seconds and it's gone.
That happens to me on a daily basis, to be quite honest with you.
So if we look at selling the 323.10 short put spread, it gives us 250. And so if it comes in and it puts us to the stock, we get it for actually, 317 and some change, which is a great discount from where we go. If it continues to run, we collect the 250. Looks pretty good. That's it's just a couple of days before expiration. And that's, so that's a great thing. If you say, hey, how about let's look in the chain and see where they're sitting. They're right at the call wall right now. And that makes sense because everybody over the last 8 days has said, I'm not buying it over 350. Great, let's sell it. And so when it breaks up, the shorts are forced to buy, they're forced to cover. So the next line in the sand is here at the 400. If you want to turn that into an iron condor, there you have it for 35 days. It gives you almost half the spread. It's really fantastic. And the delta is 0.95. Remember, delta is the probability that that's going to be in the money. It's, less than 1%. So you could do that. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I want to get involved in this chart, right? Last time I think we talked about Micron, I said, hey, what about this butterfly? 380, 400, 420. Well, we talked about it at 150. It's now just 170. But the vertical that we talked about at 350, 360, that one is doing a lot better, right? So that was about 260 something. So it's up 100%. And so you could look at things like that. Is there some kind of sweet spot you could go to? Not right now. Now, here's why. Remember my premise about earnings. And I have really been studying this price for a lot. And the more it's institutionally held, the more likely the price action holds. And so really, we don't get to see what's going to happen here until the after effect of the earnings. But so far, this upward pressure event into this 300 area should, quotations, should bring us back into an old breakout level. And that's, anywhere from 320 to where we began the month at 294. And so I would say if you're looking to go long, not really what I would love to do. If you're looking to go short, that's going to be like picking up pennies in front of steamrollers, because this thing is, it's a bazooka. It's just insane. 2 months ago, it was like $120 or something.
I know.
It's just out of control.
I will say the last time that I had Paul Meeks on the show, he said that he was bullish on Micron and said he thought this was going to go higher. And that was when it was down, I think, in that 110 area. And we're looking at now at 365.
It was insane.
Paul hit that right on the head. And then the other part about you talking about shorting it here. So that's what I did. But I didn't actually just short the stock. I bought MUD, the 1X inverse ETF for Micron. So it's a little bit, it gives me the short exposure, but keeps me a little bit safer so I don't get my face ripped off.
Right. And what is that one again?
MUD. It's new. It's direction.
That is very funny.
Micron down. And look at this chart. Look, I'm trying to play hero ball with this trade.
Yeah, that's oh man. Do I hate the hero ball after watching so much all about that. So yeah, that if per happenstance we could create an alert to get up above that monthly open right here at 79, might give us a pretty nice pop. I got to keep my eyes on that one, simply because, when this comes to earth, and my friends, it will eventually come to earth. Yes, you might look at it and go, well, NVIDIA never came to earth. Kind of did. So this will earth, but you don't want to step in front of it. So that's what I would say to that. All right. What else we got?
Okay. Let's see. What else did I send you here today? Okay. So we had someone that asked if we could take a look at OCUL options. This is not one that I'm terribly familiar with, but I did look at the chain earlier.
Ocular Therapeutics.
Yeah, and it looked like the chains were good enough. So I'm suspecting you'd be able to come up with something here.
All right. I don't know what these guys do, but I'm guessing it's got something to do with eyes and fixing them. Maybe. And so
I'm not fast enough for you here, Anne Marie. Oculus Therapeutics is a biotech company that specializes in therapies for diseases and conditions of the eye. The company uses a proprietary hydrogel platform technology to deliver therapeutic agents to the eye. They do have revenue, right? So they make $14.5 million here versus a cap of $2.4 billion. So it's not cheap, but they do make money.
Okay, so that's good to know. And, looking at 5 years, this is pretty interesting because look at how long they've been basing. Since 2021. They just broke out of the base, right? So that's the value area event. It's going to be the region where big money says, all right, let's see what they're doing. Maybe we'll give this a stab. And so that is looking like that. If we want to give it a measured move, it would be, it's not too bad, right up there, $16, but how and long is going to be that question. It ran right up to that 60. Look at the measured moves, folks. Look at this. Right up at the top. It's not, I got to tell you, if you don't practice looking at these measured moves, I promise you it is worth the time and effort. Now, here's the thing. It's already got this measured move here. It wicked down into 10. So my suspicion is that it gives us another nasty box of accumulation that's going to last for a hot minute. So if you want to look at these options, my thought would be, what are you thinking about? See, there's look at the vol. Holy smokes. You don't want to buy these outright, people. You just don't want to do that. That's very bad. Very bad. 12,000 in open interest at this 11. Is there any brand news here? Brand new news on this one? Or did they just report? Or no, there's got to be some kind of news event. So
Yesterday afternoon, Francis La Lettre, this is January 15th, right? Reported Sanofi preparing a revised bid for ocular therapeutics. So it looks like this is a potential takeover target from Sanofi.
Well, takeover targets can last 3 weeks or 10 years, just Spirit Airlines. And so I would definitely not be moving in February. If, per happenstance, you believe that this is going to be something that you want to do, you could buy, you could buy the stock and then sell the 17 calls. I don't think they're going to price it out. I suspect, since they're 9,000 here, that this is about the price that they're going to try and come in at. If you're so inclined, you can do that. 11 to 17 call spread. You can do that. It's $1.95, right? Now, if it continues to move up, but it doesn't get the 17, you can get put to the stock. You can call the stock and say, hey, I want to collect that at $11. It'll cost you $5. That's way cheaper than the $5.60 that they're charging. Okay. And so that would be a actual option there for, no pun intended, for you to look at. You also, let's see, they've got this one right here is very interesting. If you say, hey, I just want to get put to this stock, you can sell the 11 at the money right now. You get $2.40 without trying to work the bid or the spread, right? You could get it at $2.40, which means, you're in there for $8 and some change. And if it takes months and months and months and months and months for them to get this bid, then you're in the clear, right? You don't know if it's going to be a cash. You don't know if it's going to be stock and cash. You don't know anything about it, but those are your two opportunities there, and could be pretty nice.
Okay, and if it moves up there, we can use that nail gun that's going off in the background, and you can pin it right to that 17 right there.
That I'm so
13
sorry.
said, yeah, it's a contract Or that is working us. We got all the jokes here, Anne Marie, on a Friday. That's for sure.
I apologize for that.
Don't apologize. It's totally fine.
All right. So what else do we want to look at?
We're great on those two here. Also, so Netflix, this has been a big one. And here's what's going on. So first of all, Netflix, we obviously have the whole Warner Brother Discovery thing. One of the things our group has been talking about is that, hey, we kind of want to wait for this to get settled before we make a decision here. Although we do like low 80s on the chart. The big thing coming up here is that we have earnings in 4 days. And we are suspecting that they will put up a good number, largely because of the football, the boxing, Stranger Things 2. I'm someone that bought Netflix in December so that I could watch the football games on Christmas, despite the slate not being all that great. So we're just wondering, how do you look at Netflix here, maybe a potential earnings trade?
Okay, so the question is going to be, how well does it hold whatever it's going to give us, right? So let's take a peek at the last 5 years. We had this wave broke out just above the 200%, right? So it's 1-to-1, and then it sort of gives out. So we can see this measured move very clearly, right? So we know it's already given us a 1-to-1 exposure event. And so if now I'm self-conscious about the knocking, about the gun.
Nail guns are fun, man. I don't know if you've ever built anything with a nail gun, but it's fun as can be.
Yeah. I haven't been there. I am not very good with tools. And so my husband's always
Unless they're
concerned about my
trading
fingers
tools.
leaving. Yes, unless they're trading tools. Yeah, that's right. So we've had the 1-to-1 expansion. We broke down under the 50%. It feels like it's got a potential drift into 70 for whatever reason. So my thought is the following. This deal with Warner Brothers that's got everybody up in arms. What did they say 2-3 days ago? Hey, we're going to revise our bid.
Make it all
Warner
cash.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Yes. So this all cash space is, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but ever since that news came out, folks are going, let's see if they're, what kinds of powers that be are going to be against them in case. So here's my thought. When you say, hey, I'm going to trade to earnings, does it mean I want to get out 3 days after earnings? I want to get out 20 days after earnings? Or what do you want to do with those earnings? So for me, I'm going to look at potential updrafts or downdrafts, and I'm going to choose from there, right? So let's see if we can get ourselves something that gives us a bounce and a move to the north, probably up into the 110, 120 area, perhaps, or down into the floorboard at 70 to 60. Now, why would I not want to do a butterfly? I would not want to do a butterfly here simply because Netflix has a tendency to absolutely go flat out bananas when it moves in one direction or another, simply because there's so many people on the boat, right? And so the spread, interestingly enough, is only $7 wide. Seeing here for the earnings event with only 7 days into the space, I think that's pretty interesting. Could you do something crazy like buy a straddle? Yeah, you could. I think that's way too expensive, but that is how much they're pricing into the position. So let's say it runs into February. So let's look at February. And we're going to see this one's got $9 on it, but our formations say, hey, we could all the way to 70. And so these are pretty cheap. So what about a strangle, a 75, a 75 100 strangle? And if you say, hey, that's sort of expensive, you can do, you can make it a call spread at this 7,000 open interest level of 105, and it ends up being $1.33. So you've got downside protection that's super cheap, and that should expand if it continues to move into that 70-ish area. It would put it well inside of that box. You might even say to yourself, hey, since 75 is that cheap, maybe I try 80 or something like that. But if you're looking for real motion in the chart, your 100 to 105 call, if that moves up there, that's going to give you all kinds of room to the upside. If your 75 put there, it's going to give you all kinds of room to the downside. And so this is sort of a hedge bet. For me, I'm waiting until after earnings, because what I am seeing is how we respond in earnings is the most important thing that we can look at. Truly the most important thing, which brings me to Taiwan Semiconductor. Do you mind if I jump here?
Not at all. Really quickly, Anne-Marie, we actually have they report earnings on Tuesday, Netflix. So I don't even think we'll be able to look at a post-earnings trade on Tuesday. We might have to do that next Friday, but we'll see what happens between now and then.
Friday would be perfect.
Okay, great.
Because it'll give us a few days to see how others are positioning after the fact.
Love it.
So let's put that in the space, do that. All right.
Let's do that for Friday. Let's wrap it up here with TSM.
Absolutely. So what we have is TSM has reported, and they reported, let's go to a daily chart. They reported, and they are off their highs. All right. So, and now what they're testing is the open of their position from the earnings trade candlestick, which is gap up. So if it's in here, it's very likely that it does one of two things. It fills the gap or stays in the range of the candlestick, maybe testing the upside, but then pulling back and sort of dancing around the area for a little bit. Here's how it did last time, right? Here is the earnings event. That's the day of earnings. Fades off the top. Never a good sign. Never, ever a good sign. Fades off the top of the move. Next day, gaps down and loses the edge. Day after that, still can't hold it. To me, pressure. And so I would look and say, hey, where's the next big candlestick? I would put my target down here. Now, it doesn't do that. It comes in, goes to where? The top of the box, and you get to sell it again. So my suspicion is Taiwan Semiconductor is going to be a sell when it gets to 350, which is, oh my gosh, how could she say that? But this is what I'm thinking. And so right now, I would put together something that says, how can I look at this chart action? Don't want to do that. How would I put chart action together for February that would give me a collection at 320 to 310, which is the fill of the gap, just into February. And since we are looking at February and we are suspecting 350 is going to give us trouble, 350 is this, where the options are. You go 360 to 370 and you get yourself half the spread with a delta of 1.9. And so to me, that's the best bet. What's likely to happen over the next few days, great. This come in, give you a couple of bucks and then get out. That's what I would be thinking.
Okay. All right. Anne-Marie, really good stuff. We will we'll check in with you next week on all of this. We'll come up with some more
Absolutely.
good
Go
stuff
Bears.
there on time. Thank you. There we go. That's what I was hoping for. Go Bears indeed. Should be fun. All right. Anne-Marie, enjoy your weekend.
You too, sir.
Good luck
Take
with
care.
whatever you're building.
Thank you.
Take care. Anne-Marie's departure leaves room for Paulo. Let's bring him on. Paulo, Happy New Year's. First time I've seen you here this year. How are you?
Happy New Year, Ryan. How is it going? Can you hear me correctly?
I can hear you just fine. It's like you're in the room with me. What do you got coming up for us today?
Perfect. So for today, we're going to check market breadth and, of course, as always, some important stock setups.
Okay. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing, Paulo. I'm sorry about that. It's just, normally I have the producer do this, but you get the B team today. Paulo, Trading Made Simple with Paulo starts right now.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fits-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
All right, everyone. Good morning. How is it going? Happy New Year to everyone. I hope we all had a great start of the year and that we can actually make 2026 much better than 2025, or at least the same if we had a great last year too. So let's start with today's session. For today, we're going to focus actually on market breadth in the first minutes. Then I would like to show the Bitcoin market cycle. I tried to show last year, but apparently I had these internet problems. Apparently the crypto bears didn't want me to share with everyone my crypto cycle, the sine wave model. So today we are going to also give it a check as Bitcoin is having a strong bounce on the bottom of the models, looking very interesting. And of course, as always, we're going to share some long-term setups, combining volume, combining millimeter wave theory, and also insider activity, buying and selling. All right. So let's start here with market breadth. Market breadth, it's actually looking very interesting. And there are plenty ways of actually reading market breadth. One of my favorites is actually the ADL indicator, advanced decline line. I see here also the comment section. If anyone has actually any comments, we can check it there. So the advanced decline line, it's a breadth indicator that measures advancing stocks minus declining stocks. The theory behind this is that if a bull market, a bull rally, it's actually a real bull market, it's a healthy rally, there should be plenty of stocks participating in the rally, right? Usually, when we see market breadth indicators declining and showing a bearish divergence against ascending price action, that means stocks, most of the stocks are actually falling, and there's just a couple of important stocks going higher. How does this work? For example, which are the top stocks in the S&P 500? I think for today it would be not necessarily in this order. I think it's Nvidia, maybe Google, Apple, and Microsoft. Those would be the top four for today. I'm not sure if Google already passed Apple or how it is, but I think are those four. So if those four important stocks are actually going a bit higher, but the rest of the market is actually dropping, we might actually see the indices such as the S&P 500, such as the NASDAQ actually going higher, but we would not count that as a healthy rally as the rest of the other stocks, right, would be declining. So when we actually see breadth indicators such as the advanced decline line going higher, that would be indicating healthy bull rally. And let's actually compare that against SPX. So for example, here at the end of 2024, okay, at the end of 2024, this is SPX on the 4 hours time frame. we actually saw SPX did one top at 6,100. Then we had another slightly higher high at 6,120. And then we had another one at 6,130. So these were all slightly higher highs. But what did we had in breadth? Breadth was not confirming that this was actually healthy bullish momentum. Breadth was actually confirming most of the stocks were dropping. And what we had afterwards, of course, we had we dropped 20%. We could call it the flash crash, kind of super fast bear market we had on the Liberation Day crash. Then, of course, we started a new bull market. And what did we notice, for example, here? On September 2025, S&P 500 did a local top of at 6,600, 700, around those levels. And then we actually did another top at 6,900 this time. But what was breadth actually doing? Breadth was actually declining here, indicating that not most of the stocks were participating. I remember back in this day, I think NVIDIA actually went to 210, 215 per share by this time. And while multiple stocks were dropping, actually, NVIDIA, I think also Apple, I think also Microsoft, even though Microsoft topped in July, they were going higher. So the S&P 500 managed to print a higher high, but not because most of the stocks were participating. So then we had again this kind of correction. It was not a correction because we didn't drop 10%, but it was a very important pullback here. But now what we're seeing is that breadth, let me show it here, that advanced decline line indicator on TradingView, breadth has basically was actually kind of trading sideways, not going kind of chopping around here from September to the end of November. But then stocks actually started breaking out. We can see this very, very strong rally on the market breadth, higher highs, very, very strong readings for the indicator. But we're not yet seeing such a powerful breakout on the indices. So what this would be telling us is that most of the stocks are actually breaking out in the market, but we're still seeing a bit of a lag of the most important names. Yes, NVIDIA has not been able to make a higher high. Neither has been able Microsoft. Only Google is just going higher. Apple is actually going through a correction. We can check it out today, of course. But the majority of the stocks are actually going higher. So what we're seeing on the breadth indicator is that we could be ready for a potential bull rally. Most of the stocks are breaking out. If actually NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft can resume their bullish momentum, their previous bull trends, the current breadth readings would be showing that the market would be ready for a potential bull rally here. And now let's actually compare this to the S&P 500 and let's apply a bit of Elliott wave theory. There is just one bearish signal I don't like, and I will show it here. Of course, we have to be objective. So applying some basic Elliott wave concepts, it appears we are on a wave 1 and we could be starting a wave 3 here. One of my favorite techniques when I'm actually trying to identify Elliott wave structures, there are certain golden rules that actually have to be validated for an Elliott wave structure not to be invalidated. How does this work? So there is not like a market god that we can submit our chart and we can tell him, hey, is this Elliott wave count correct? And the market god, it's going to clear the skies and tell us, hey, yes, this Elliott wave structure is completely valid. You're 100% correct. Doesn't work like that. So Elliott wave structure is always a theory. It's always a potential structure which remains valid until invalidated. But there are many golden rules that actually kind of have to fit like a puzzle so that we know that the count is valid and we can treat it as a valid trading or even long-term investing strategy. All right. So there are, for example, golden rules against Fibonacci retracements, right? Usually wave 2 and wave 4 at least should be retracing to the 0.2 Fibonacci retracement. Wave 3 can never be the smallest, doesn't necessarily have to be the longest and the most extended wave, but it can never be the smallest. Of course, wave 1 cannot go below where we started. Wave 5 has to be the highest point in the chart, and we can also validate our Elliott wave counts against the RSI indicator. Usually the RSI indicator, when we are checking it against Elliott wave theories, right, we start around oversold on the RSI weekly time frame. Wave 1 usually goes from oversold to overbought. Wave 2 usually goes from overbought back to equilibrium, which doesn't necessarily have to be exactly the reading of 50 for the RSI. Equilibrium would be a range from 40, which would be here, from 40 to 60. All right. Wave 3 usually is the highest point on the RSI reading. Wave 4 goes back to the equilibrium range from 40 to 60. And finally, wave 5 has the bearish divergence on the weekly RSI, in which price goes higher while the indicator actually prints a lower high. Let's validate that starting on this count on 2020. We could actually go much higher, much before, but we would have to go into the logarithmic chart. So I currently view this as we would be starting after the COVID crash, right? The post-pandemic bull market, I like to call it. And let's actually check it. So wave 1 went from oversold to overbought. Wave 2 retraced to the 0.2 Fibonacci retracement. Let me bring it here. Retrace to the 0.2. That would be the small retracement. Then if we actually break lower than this, wave 2 or wave 4 corrections can also go to the big retracement, which would be the 0.6, the 0.6, 0.7 Fibonacci retracement. Let me delete this 1 minute. Wave 2 goes all the way back to equilibrium. Wave 3 goes to the highest point. Wave 4 goes all the way back to equilibrium. And finally, wave 5 has the bearish divergence against price. And we can see once we confirm that bearish divergence, we went into a 5-point Elliott wave correction, which brought us back to the most, not in this case to the most oversold, because here we actually bottomed. Here we actually bottomed by a bullish divergence, but still we would be starting here a new cycle. Let's check it now again with the AI bull market, actually back from the end of the bear market on 2022. So we had the bullish divergence on the RSI and we started a new cycle. Wave 1 goes from oversold or almost oversold to overbought. Wave 2 goes back to equilibrium. Remember, we mentioned it's a range from 40 to 60. In this case, we bottom right at 40. Wave 3 goes to the highest point. My peak for wave 3 is actually here, which is not the top of the RSI, but we did reach the highest point on the RSI during wave 3. Wave 4 brings us back to equilibrium, now to 54, which is inside the 40 to 60 range. And then wave 5, even though we were going higher, had the bearish divergence here. Now we had the zigzag pattern here, and we went all the way back to oversold. And now we started, of course, a new cycle in which we went from oversold to overbought. So this would confirm be a wave 1. What is the bearish signal? There is just one bearish signal here that kind of doesn't let me sleep correctly because I'm particularly bullish in the market, especially taking into consideration the strong market breadth we're seeing. I'm particularly bullish. But what I don't like is that we have not yet retraced. All right, we have not yet retraced to the 0.2 136 Fibonacci retracement, and that's not ideal. We almost went there. We bottomed so far at 6,515, and the 0.2 was at 6,428. Now, Elliott wave is not a golden rule that I will just get bearish because we have not retested this and someday wave 2 has to happen. No, there could be the possibility that this is still a strong bull market, and that is the reason wave 2 actually didn't reach the 0.236. There are exceptions too, but in my experience, it's for me a bit hard to actually feel safely bullish when we haven't just retested the 0.236 Fibonacci retracement yet. But honestly, that would be the only bearish signal that I'm seeing. All the other, everything else we're seeing, it's actually bullish. And actually, for the DJI and for the NASDAQ, let me bring them here. For the Dow, we already actually did retrace to the 0.2. So for the Dow, it does appear we could already be on a wave 3. And so is the case for the NASDAQ. We already remember, wave 1 goes from oversold to overbought. Wave 2 goes all the way back to equilibrium. Here we have a reading of 55 for the NASDAQ. We retest the 0.2 and we went higher. There could be the possibility maybe we go for a zigzag here, ABC correction, and we retested. But the Dow and the NASDAQ technically could have already bottomed, and that is exactly when the S&P 500 almost reached the 0.2. Additionally, from that, we're actually breaking out from the macro structure. We're actually having a strong breakout from the macro structure. So it does appear that the S&P 500 could be following the path of NASDAQ, of breaking the trendline channel that joins the 2021 and the 2025 top, and we're breaking out. Let's go 1 second back to the S&P 500. So the only bearish signal I would be viewing right now is that we have not retraced to the 0.2, but everything else, I would say it's pointing towards we could be going through a bull rally, especially when we see market breadth actually consolidating for 2-3 months here, even 4, and now we are strongly breaking out here. And now I would like to go to our Bitcoin cycle. So this is the one I was actually trying to show last year, but I did have those connection problems. Thankfully, I understand they have been fixed, right? We don't have any connection problems. Okay, so this would be the sine wave model for Bitcoin. I have been studying lately a lot cycle analysis, and there's multiple ways of actually finding and charting cycle analysis in the markets. One I do like a lot is actually the sine wave model, and I like to align it against the RSI indicator too, which shows momentum here. So I would like to share this one for Bitcoin on the logarithmic chart, and this goes to the start of Bitcoin's price action here. Its creation on 2008, I think. We have it on TradingView since 2009. So what we can see on the sine wave model, and why is it that this actually happens, from the research I have been doing, there are mostly 3 important aspects that actually validate why is that Bitcoin can have this strong cyclical behavior. The first one would be, of course, the halving cycles. I understand it's every 4 years. The halving cycles actually, correct me if wrong, they cut the supply on Bitcoin, the amount of Bitcoin being issued by the half. So that's like a supply shock, and it does have a bullish reaction to price action, not instantly, but through time it does have one, and that is a 4-year cycle, which kinda is the same cycle on the bottoms for the sine wave model we're looking at. Then global liquidity markets too, central banks around the world, not only on the US, cutting rates, then raising rates, right? That also creates the global liquidity cycle that directly impacts Bitcoin's price action too. And then, of course, investor sentiment, right? Investors go through fear at the bottoms. Smart money buys that fear. Investors go through greed at the cycle tops. Smart money sells those cycles, right? So those would be the three how could we call it? The three main aspects that actually validate why is it that Bitcoin has a cyclical behavior. So keeping in mind that Bitcoin kind of has, or at least might have, a cyclical behavior, we can actually try to lay out and find that behavior. There's multiple ways of doing it. There's additional tools. I like the sine wave model. And when we actually measure that against the RSI indicator, what I find fascinating is that it perfectly fits. For me, that's amazing that it can fit so well like that. And let's actually check it against the Bitcoin logarithmic price history since its creation. All right. Bitcoin was created. We had the first rally. Imagine this. From how much? From 1 cent, imagine that, to $30 per coin. That was kind of, all right, I forgot to mention something. The cycles are measured from bottom to bottom, all right? Not necessarily from top to top. So what we're trying to find is the bottoms on the lows of the sine wave, not necessarily to time the tops in the top of the cycle. Okay, so we had the first top, and then we had the first correction, and we found the bottom right here in the middle of the cycle. 1 minute, please. Sorry, I caught a cold. I need to drink some water. I lose my voice. In the bottom of the cycle here, we found that right on the bottom of the sine wave, that was a great buying opportunity for Bitcoin. Then we actually had the Bitcoin bull market. We topped very near in the top. Then we had again the 2014 bear market, which found its bottom right here. Right again, great buying opportunity and a bull market, which kind of topped here around the top in the cycle. And then again, we had here the 2018 bear market, which fascinating bottom again on the bottom of the cycle. Again, we had the 2018 bull market. We bottom very close here to the top. Once again, we had the 2022 bear market. We found a bottom here. Again, into another bull market. And here on the logarithmic, it doesn't show much of a drop, but we would be back here on a buy setup here for Bitcoin. And what we're seeing is that actually we're starting to bounce. So now let me go not into the logarithmic chart. Let me go here into the regular chart. So where are we on Bitcoin? This is the sine wave model, right? Here we can see the bear market now better than on the logarithmic chart. We're on the lows, and we could be on a potential start of a wave 3. So remember we mentioned there's 2 retracement zones for those wave 2 corrections or wave 4. We have the small correction to the 0.2 to 0.3, or we have the big correction to the 0.6 or 0.7. And we are actually starting to find a bottom on the 0.7 Fibonacci retracement, which is a support trend line that has been validated basically since September 2023. And we are seeing a very strong bounce. We're seeing a very strong bounce here as the RSI indicator bounces from the bottom of our cycle, which currently would be indicating that this would be a great buying opportunity here. for Bitcoin. All right. So yes, I would personally be bullish on Bitcoin. I do think the cycle so far is validated. That doesn't necessarily mean that this cycle will repeat for eternity. No, technical analysis is valid until it gets invalidated, right? We cannot marry a chart or a cycle or a technical model and think it's always going to develop like that. But so far it's being validated, and I do think this could be a very good buying opportunity for Bitcoin. And now I would like to share here some charts. I would go with CRISPR. I'm particularly very bullish. Oh no, I was doing some experiments here with CRISPR, trying to find the cycles. It's actually on this window. What I like a lot about CRISPR here is two things, actually. First, it does appear we're starting here an Elliott wave count. We do have a lot of volume going on here, a lot of volume. And if we zoom out, what does this appear to be? This appears to be a week of stage 1 accumulation pattern. So according to week of theory, there's 4 market stages. Accumulation, where smart money quietly accumulates and gets into a position. Then we have the markup, the bull rally, where most of investors starts jumping in. Then we have the distribution, where smart money also quietly sells the good news, right? So here it's all good news. This stock is the best stock. It's going to be number 1 in the S&P 500. But we start seeing insiders selling. We start seeing insiders actually sell those peaks while retail is trying to chase it because we already missed all this. And then finally, we have the stage 4 crash, where panic happens and we start again an accumulation pattern. So when we go into CRISPR, what do we see? We can even see the previous cycle. Check it out. Stage 1, stage 2. Stage 3 distribution was not a sideways. It was more like we peaked, we had a bounce, right? So this would be like the stage 3. Then we had the stage 4. So it does now appear this is a stage 1. And what are some signals this is a stage 1? The volume coming in here on these lows. Very strong volume coming in. And also, if we understand that on stage 1, we have, if we understand that on stage 1, smart money and insiders buy, we should see that reflected, right? And check insider purchases last 6 months for CRISPR. We got 1,210,000 purchases, insider purchases, against 100,008 sales. This is a 10-to-1 insider purchase to sales ratio last 6 months. So if we go back to the chart, we are seeing insiders are massively buying what appears to be an accumulation. I'm particularly bullish on CRISPR. I also hold NTLA. It did have that strong sellout. It happened because of the problem they had with the patient at the end of the year. Thankfully, it is starting to recover. It's now above my entry, thankfully, again. So when I was asked also actually here about NTLA too, I mentioned my 2 genomics stocks I'm holding are, my biggest position is CRISPR, and then I also have NTLA. It's a bit more risky. And I mentioned I wanted to give it a couple weeks actually to take some conclusions. And my conclusions would be I would be calling it a hold. I'm personally also holding NTLA. Thankfully, I'm back above my entry, and I would continue holding, even though I would like to point that CRISPR is looking much strongly. Let me see if we have any questions here. We have a couple minutes. And let me actually show another stock that is breaking out, and we can apply that same volume concept. It would be Intel. And this would be the last chart we're going to show for today. So Intel had more of a macro Elliott wave analysis. Elliott wave structure, I'm sorry, which ended on a 5-point correction. All right, that is the past. Now, volume usually precedes price action. And I remember when we were trading here, I noticed all this volume for Intel, which is huge. Check it out. We haven't seen this volume in decades. In 2020, this is record volume 10 years ago. So this is decade record volume for Intel. And I remember I was wondering, oh my God, what can be happening here? Check this volume, what is going on? And then news came out, right? Volume always comes before news, then news come out. And of course, the US government took a 10% stake on Intel. Also, NVIDIA, I think they took a stake, they bought a position, but Intel has been, important players have actually started loading up on Intel. And now we're seeing a breakout, and we're seeing a breakout of a 5-year structure. The top was in 2021. It was validated here too, and it was also validated here. Now we're breaking out. We're breaking out strongly on Intel after all this volume. So it does appear we could even kind of discuss it as a kind of double bottom, not the most perfect double bottom, but it's there. So if we actually break above 50, this would still look like a very good buy setup. Now, where would I try to maybe, for a trade, of course, for a trade, if we start breaking above here, this would, I think, this would trigger plenty of long swing trades for the stock. Now, I'm not saying this has to happen, but where I would love it, I would love it here. If we actually have a retest, all right? If we actually manage to have a retest of the structure, somewhere around the 36. I'm not saying that has to happen because this is a strong breakout with volume. But if we could have a retest of this zone, that would be a golden buying opportunity for the stock, I would say. I understand we have run out of time. Thankfully, I don't had any internet problems. It has already been fixed. So that will be all for today. I would like to thank you, everyone, for your participation, for your attendance, as always. I would like to thank everyone on the Benzinga team, to Ryan, to Aaron, for inviting us here on Fridays to share some market insights, some market setups. I hope we all have a great year, and let's try to make 2026 much better than 2025. I do think it's possible. We can find those setups, and we can get in when smart money is doing it on setups like CRISPR. Thank you, everyone. I hope this was nice, and looking forward